Welcome back, everybody, to the Brazilian Dragon podcast. My name is Felipe, and I wish I could get an elephant massage in Phuket like Mike White once did in season 14 of The Amazing Race. We are here to talk about the White Lotus and the Traitors, and I am not alone. I am joined by one of my silliest gals, my favorite people to podcast with. Don't start drama with her in the turret. It is Mel Got Served. Mel, how are you?
Ugh, reeling from the Traitors finale.
Yes, yes. Do we want to start with that?
Yeah, should we kick right into Traitors? Because
Yeah.
I feel like it's on everybody's mind. Because what's cool about Traitors, and I saw Mike Bloom had posted about this,
I thought you were
and
going to
it's
say
been
Mike
something
White
I've
for a
talked
second.
about
I was
too,
like, yeah.
is Traitors is bringing in an audience of people that have not watched competitive reality shows for 20 years, which is in one way great. I have a show to talk to my friends about that I haven't been able to talk maybe like Survivor with or The Challenge or some of the, big ones. But the other side of it is that these are people who have never experienced the last 20 years of game evolution on reality shows, knowing that like people swear on kids, that they lie, that they do stuff. So it's an interesting experience to be a Traders fan in the US because the viewer experience is very different depending on who's watching. And even
Mhm.
expectations of what we want out of the show is very different.
Yes. So what has the online reaction been? Because I watched the episode, went to bed, and woke up for this podcast. So I have not
All right,
seen any
well,
discourse.
so seems overall people are very happy. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Everyone leave, come back another time. The faithfuls win. People seem very happy, from what I can gather. I think that there's just still some discourse with true competitive reality fans about, like how Danielle played, how others played. So I think there's a mix of opinions between how the game was played and then also about the way the reunion was held, uh, interruptions, maybe Andy hosting. So I think that's sort of the main level of discourse that is
Okay.
coming out of it. But I think overall people are happy at least of the four winners, which there's some discourse about too many winners, is happy that at least two of them won. And then the
Yeah.
other two,
I feel like in my head, watching the finale, I was like, okay, this is Dylan and Gabby, one, and then Dolores and Ivar are just like title holders. Even
yeah,
though,
I
yeah,
saw I saw a really funny post on Instagram, and it was like Dolores is that person who comes to all the classes trying to do the group assignment, but is just going to get the A at the end, but didn't have to
yeah.
do very much to get
Same
there.
with
And
Ivar. Yeah.
yeah, at least I'll give credit to Ivor that you know he did vote correctly slightly more and
Yeah.
had some hunches. But Dolores, as she admitted on the reunion, just voted based on emotion at Tom all the time because he annoyed her, which is not how you play traitors. But
Yeah.
one could even argue, what's the point of catching traitors?
See,
Because,
yeah.
you
And
know,
for me, it's also like, I think I was entertained by Dolores more than I was Ivor, so I think I'm like more okay with her winning, even though she definitely didn't
yes,
deserve it more. As
I
like
am a
to me,
Dolores
Dylan
fan.
and Gabby won the show, and then Dolores and Ivor get to reap the benefits.
Yes, and I'm a longtime Dolores fan on Housewives. Was this her best showing? No, but good on her for winning. Um, and Ivor, good on him for winning too. I think he had like the lowest confessionals ever of someone who's lasted, from what I've heard. I don't know. I don't stay on top of trader stats, but I'd be very curious about it because he really was like largely a non-entity, and I think it's time for Traders USA to stop the royal trope. I just don't think it's
Yeah,
an archetype that needs to be on the show.
John was entertaining, but I didn't find Ivor entertaining. And like maybe I should be a little bit more grateful for the by man winning a reality show, but um, I'm not. Like I would rather my representation come from other people than Ivor. But
Yeah, like I
yeah,
want a human disaster to win the end. Like part at least like Dolores winning, like you contributed to the discourse.
mhm.
Not necessarily positively. We all thought you were a disaster, but at least like we're talking about you. We will remember you. I can't say the same about Ivar.
No, like he's gonna be like that. Oh, who was the fourth person that won in like 5 years?
Right.
Yeah.
They'll just say that the British guy.
Yeah. Um, Go back to people frustrated with Andy Cohen. I'm interested on this. What are the takes there?
So I think there's been a lot of conversations broadly, even in the Bravo universe, is like, has Andy's time as hosting reunions, like, should we move along from this? I will say I personally didn't mind him hosting the reunion, or at least what I did like about the reunion, and I'd love to know like how you viewed it. What I did like is the slow introduction of everybody. Instead of bringing 23 people out on stage at once and then calling people and having them interject to introduce them in the winners, adding the traitors, adding the recruits, adding it like just stacking them up slowly so everyone did get a shot and that it wasn't specifically, I'll call out Dorinda yelling at Bob the drag queen. It's like, Dorinda, we didn't even remember you were on this show, babe.
Nope. And I was like, oh, I was supposed to like Dorinda. And then this was like, but the first episode was like, oh, she's fine. And then her and Ion kind of annoyed me in this reunion. Just like coming for Bob the Drag King. Like, this is not about that. Sit down. Like, Bob
And
literally,
literally sit
yeah,
down.
yeah. And Ion's like, you were just jealous that I'm the funniest person on the show. I'm like, respectfully, Ion, you might be a hoot and a half, but you are not Bob the Drag Queen. I love Bob the Drag Queen's read of
And
like,
I love
okay,
Ion too, but like
yeah.
that's literally the show you signed up for. And I think because Andy asked, like, why do you vote on all the housewives first? And one, it's easy target because they don't know the game. And I watch nearly all the housewives. I'm a fan. I enjoy it. I get excited when I see that they're on the cast. But the big elephant in the room, not just the one in Thailand that tickled my white, is that the Traitors USA are television reality famous people trying to make entertainment and not necessarily play a game, which is very different than international. And so housewives are just there to make TV, which is why I found at least parts of the reunion a little annoying because it became very like housewivesy of I need to make my moment, I need to be seen. And that's where like the bitterness comes from is I I wanted to make my quotable moment. I wanted to be Phaedra. I wanted to show all my outfits. And don't get me wrong, if I spent money on outfits, I would be annoyed too. But that's the game. That's the hand you were dealt. Like
Yeah.
I don't even remember why Ion was banished. I think it was just she was a name that came up or was kind of louder than others. Dorinda, I totally get. I would have bumped her out too. I think that people forget how like of a housewife, she was kind of ruthless and off the handle. And she
Is
flipped
she the
out on
one who's
Ivar.
bad at
That's the only
like,
thing you remember Ivar is he got in a fight with Dorinda week one and
yeah.
got held against him.
Yeah, everything I heard about Dorinda preseason is like, oh, she's entertaining, but like keep her away from the wine because she's like mean when she drinks.
Very.
And Ion, like, I think it was just like Wells went home and they were like, okay, sure, let's just like pop her next.
Yeah.
Um, and it really is not that big of a deal because like, especially in the early game of Traders, it's just like whoever like you haven't made bonds besides like the people from your show, so like understandably Carolyn's not gonna knock out Survivor players, Bob's the only drag queen, and Danielle's not gonna knock out Brittany or Derek, and so like that eliminates half the cast. They've bonded with other people. Ion, like, it's not because Bob was starting. There were three other traitors by the time she got murdered. Like, why is she taking it on Bob? I do think there's something like, I forget where I heard this, but I think there's like something to be said that like Bob the drag queen, whether he was a faithful or a traitor, would not have made it super far into this game, just given the fact of like being a loud drag queen personality. I think like even if Bob was a faithful, I don't know how far Bob makes it just because people are going to point fingers at the loud drag queen normally just because they are a loud personality. And
Yeah,
if
like
they're the only person in their cast or in their show from this background, like they need to put multiple drag queens on the season so that they have more of a chance.
right. And Bob said I was going to be loud no matter what. So Bob acknowledged
And
that
true.
himself.
I
That
know
that was
Bob.
like
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I'm a star, baby. I'm coming in there. And I think that was part of it that they keep projecting on it, which is like, oh, well, Bob has admitted that he wanted to be the star of the show, so he got rid of me because he wants to be the star of the show. And he's like, no, they got rid of you just because, like, again, you just need a name. It's easy. You're less connected than other people. I think that they're going to have to be very mindful. I think season four is supposed to start filming soonish. I don't know
Yeah.
really what's like in the next like month or so, right? I think they have to be considerate about who are traders now. I think I've always been curious, and I don't think we'll ever know. I wish I knew somebody who was on traders so I could ask her this kind of question. But like, do they talk about the meta game of it all? Like, do they say to each other, for example, how are Danielle and Brittany from the same show still on the show at this point? Because one would assume when you come in these like packs and herds that you're like one of you has to be, which is why housewives are an easy target initially because they're like there was one last season with Phaedra, so there's got to be one of them this
Hmm.
time. So it makes sense. And the same with like Survivor. Granted, they did more than that, but
Well,
same with Big Brother. I just don't know how it doesn't click to people. Do they not? Are they not allowed to discuss? Kind of like Big Brother. Are you not allowed to talk about
production.
production?
Yeah. Well, they even
I'm
referenced it
curious.
like Alan wouldn't make this person a traitor like early on in the season and that kind of went away for a while. But my thing is like hypothetically, let's say Kelly Wentworth and Marcellus are in next season. I would vote up Kelly Wentworth and Marcellus first, just given the fact that a Big Brother and a Survivor player has been involved in the turret every single season so far with Cody and Suri, with Parvati. Granted, Parvati was recruited, Parvati and Dan, and then now with Carolyn and Danielle, and then Rob was brought in late. But like if you're metagaming, vote out all the gamers immediately. Like
And
literally
also
just
the
do that.
personality level. I'm sorry. In what universe would Boston Rob have joined the show Traitors to be a faithful? I do not believe in any way he agreed to do this show with the possibility of being a faithful. And I thought about that about Dan too, and that might be my Traitors conspiracy tinfoil hat. But to me, I would just be like, there is no way that this man who has been doing 20 years of reality shows, who just did Dondi and all this, is coming out here to be a
Potentially
faithful.
get sent home like Dorinda night one.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've said that about claim to fame in a similar vein, is I've talked about that if I were related to a famous person, which I'm not, so I will not be on claim to fame, unfortunately. Um,
Yeah, you
is
could be Dylan Efron's cousin.
I would in another universe, Dylan
Yeah.
Efron could have been on claim to fame.
Yeah.
But I think he picked the better one, and I say
Yeah,
that
he
as the
did.
number one fan. But for claim to fame, I've said, do you watch claim to fame?
Yeah. You sent me your notes.
Yeah, duh. It's hard to remember. It's but claim to fame, like you forget about it for like the 11 months it's off air and then it's full force.
Yeah.
So every year on claim to fame, spoiler, 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 spoiler for the viewers who are not claim to fame watchers. The country music person makes it very far because nobody knows anything about them. You can give me I don't know. Get rid of that person first. That's my strategy. If I were on claim to fame, I would say, you are all lovely people. We should get rid of this person because we are never going to figure this out. You are going to have to hold our hand in a level of giving us clues that literally just gives us the person's name. Like
Hmm.
it's just not possible. And
No.
not, it's not impossible, but for most, I don't know anything about, how much do you know about country?
I
Get rid of them.
know. Yeah, I know very little. Very little. Um, they literally said honky donk badonka donk, and I was like, who? Like,
And I know that song. I've heard
yeah.
the name of the song, but that's not the game. So that's why I'm
Yeah.
like, get rid of
Are she
if
and
you
HUD still a
know
thing?
something. That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, someone let us know if Mackenzie and HUD are still a thing. But even him, like I was like, oh, John Mellencamp, I'm not the biggest knowledge person. Like though, and there were two of them kind of.
Yeah, and at
Yeah.
least that's like a name I would say that is more known. And I'm sure that there is an opposite side to this, which is that there are a group of fans where the biggest country music people are like, "You dumb idiots, why can't you figure this out?" But
Yeah.
to most of them in that house, they never know.
Especially because like most of these people are coming from like the New York or LA side of things. Like they're
Yeah.
like that's not it, maybe like the one person from Nashville
Yeah, it's like
is
one
not
other person who may
yeah.
be able to figure you out. And then you get rid of that person, then you're smooth sailing.
Hmm.
So that's my strategy. And that's the same
Put
thing I would say
LC
to
on this show
traders.
on Traders. Put LC on Traders.
Oh, I would love her on traders.
And Adam,
Also,
honestly, low key.
Adam would be a disaster. Put him on. I
Yeah.
was gonna say I'm a big fan of Logan
Logan.
still,
Yes,
and
they
his
put a
passion
song.
for Chili's.
They put a Logan song at the end of the last season because I like did the Shazam thing on my phone. I was like, oh, Logan. This is
Oh
Logan from
yeah.
season one. Um, but yeah, I definitely I know I talked about it in the reunion before we hit record, but like the reunion for me, it was just like argue, awkward editing cut. Barbara from St. Louis on Blue Sky wants to know, Derek, you're a cop. Like, and I'm just like, what is with the weird edit? I felt like I wanted more of the resolution of each argument. It just felt like we awkwardly cut to like a new segment. Um, and it was kind of underwhelming and like I Like I felt like we didn't get closure from the Brittany Danielle argument. We
None.
we didn't get closure from like some of the other beef that we had. I thought Bob the drag queen was the star of the reunion. I thought Bob the Harper was annoying in the reunion.
It was people chiming in because they felt like they
Mm,
needed to be a part of it. Like, and like Wells being like, I'm the funniest one. It's like, you're not.
yeah, I was like, no, in this moment, sit back. Like even Gabby, who's a star, and she was like chiming in periodically, like to defend Caroline at points. But I felt like she like knew when to pipe up and when to pipe down. And I felt like some people didn't have that skill set. Like I be like Sam and Ivor and sit in the back of the class and not say anything. Like this, like I appreciated the fact that they were only called upon a couple times and they only spoke when they were called upon. Otherwise, they were just vibing.
Do you think that there was kind of like a almost like the Survivor reunions, which is like you each have a question, we're going to call on you one time, like, and then maybe they knew. And I was
They
kind
knew
of
that,
bummed like
yeah.
Sierra's was more about. I mean, obviously her iconic moment was the bug, so it was a bit about that, but it was like a little bit about like Rob being hot or whatever. And I was like, all right, we know. Like,
Yeah. I
I
felt
guess it
like
was funny because like she is much younger of a different generation, wouldn't have watched Survivor at that point of time. So to discover like this guy that you see as one person was actually like a whole other human being. I guess there's
yeah,
it's interesting, but yeah, I felt like I can't believe I feel like we barely heard from Derek, who was
which
a
is fine by
very
me.
large.
Yeah.
But you know what
Yeah.
though? Like, and I want to preface this: I'm not a Derek fan by any mean whatsoever. But I felt like this season of Traitors, he did a good job. He was playing the game accurately. He was finding the traitors. Like I had to give him
Yeah.
his flowers to like what he's good at least. Like he's not my favorite person. I don't necessarily like I'm not following him. I don't need to know anything about him. I don't really like him. But you know, if you're good at the game, you're good at the
I felt
game.
like there was a lot of like stuff that, yeah, on this note, I felt like there was a lot of topics about the season that weren't really covered, like, or we could have dived deeper. Like, I mean, did you see Bob the Drag Queen's quote on Instagram? I can try to find it, pull it up.
Is it about Carolyn?
Carolyn, yeah. I felt like we could have
Yes.
addressed this.
So I feel that, and this is what my POV right now is on Carolyn, is it felt like the reunion to an extent, especially because it's that like how Bravo kind of works. It's sort of like you're supposed to like go to the reunion, confess your sins. This is a confession, and you start clean. And it feels like because this reunion filmed what like 2 weeks ago, and I
Yeah.
feel that Carolyn didn't start kind of doing this turn against Danielle publicly until 2 weeks ago, which yes
Okay.
aligns with when she got voted off. But there's something to me that makes me feel like she changed her tune or from her popularity or whatever. Also, would love to discuss the fact that she has this interview blabbing on about that she didn't want to play strategy. Well, then why did you wear a cloak at night to prepare for the show to manifest it? What were you going to do then? Like
Yeah.
I don't get Carolyn anymore. I did feel bad a bit on the show when it seemed like no one was listening to her.
Yeah. I really didn't like when Bob Harper called her batshit. That was like
Yeah, like there were things
kind of
that
one of the grosser
like
moments of the
I
season.
didn't love the stuff about like her personality or whatever, but and I'm but she just seems to be taking this to an extreme and like fueling the flames that you don't need to. You literally had a photo with Danielle like 3, 4 weeks ago looking buddy buddy. So
Yeah.
what changed in that time frame? It I just don't like it. I think it's gross. I think that she's just trying to milk her fame and woe is me and pity whatever. I'm over it. And I'm not saying Danielle was the greatest trader, but she did a good job. She outlasted them, like Robin Dixon said.
Mhm. No, I completely agree with you. It feels like Carolyn kind of flipped a switch recently, and I saw the same like video with Dylan Efron and Danielle that she was doing. And it felt like, oh, they've kind of like because this was also filmed in like what, May, June. So like temperatures like cooled off for sure. And I think maybe the re-airing of the show reignited a lot of these feelings, but it feels like very like I don't understand what your point is. Like, yes, some things you're saying is true, but it feels like you're fueling the flames. Are you trying to get that 50 call, which we already know you got? Um,
And probably begrudgingly because I don't think they really would have. I think that
yeah,
we've seen like Jeff's and talk about more online videos and stuff. Jeff's reluctance for people doing other shows, which there is a level of hypocrisy there, but you know,
yeah, but with Carolyn, maybe like they'll get viewers for 50, like that they
That's
wouldn't
what they
have otherwise.
assume, right?
So,
Yeah.
but I don't know, like it's just, I mean, in my head, I'm like, have you spent too much time with Carson and you don't know how to behave like a human being anymore? Like,
Right. And what happened to their podcast?
I don't
Did it
know,
just like
but
disappear off
that's the
the
one,
ethernet, the internet?
so,
It was like up and then it got
the
taken
one time
down.
I've ever gotten spoiled on an episode of Traitors was a couple weeks ago. I went to the movies. And my friend in our little group chat said, "Oh, like," and I said, "Literally, I can't watch." And like this made me upset in a moment. But she said, "Oh, uh, I feel like this whole thing, Carson and Carolyn blocking each other on social media, is fake because it's interesting they do it the week that Carolyn's about to do exit press." And I was like, "Why'd you spoil me? Why'd you spoil me?"
Ooh, we
Yeah.
don't like that.
Because now that everyone's leaving the Facebook group chats and just moving to text chats, that's something that I am very adamant in one of my other groups with Laura and Emma. I'm like, y'all are East Coast, do not text in this chat. Survivor Nights, yeah. But that wasn't the group that happened in. It was another group.
Phew.
But yeah, your cousin's safe from my wrath. Uh,
My other thing that I was saying is sorry, my mom just texted or she tried
you're
to call and I
good.
had to text her.
Well, I do.
Is oh
Go
sorry.
ahead. No, I just was gonna say quickly, like I feel like at times I see like Danielle and Carolyn as like opposite sides of the same coin. Like in terms of like they're upset about something in a way that feels a little deeper than necessary. Like with Danielle and Brittany, and we'll talk about this, I'm sure. And Brittany's like, we spent like 3 hours together, and like you're acting like we've like had 20 years of deep, deep friendship. And like, yeah, my feelings are hurt. We were close, but like close on a big brother like friendship streets. Like and like it's not like you're Janelle or Dan or Ian, someone like Brittany is known to be super close with. It's like y'all did a time laser thing, had lunch a couple times, and I love the fact that like Reindeer Games was name dropped multiple times.
What a
But
time. It felt like a 30 Rock skit to keep mentioning the most fake sounding show name of all
now
time.
Paramount Plus should need to bring it back though. But it just feels like sometimes I feel like Danielle and Carolyn have similarities in the sense that they like the things that they're upset about like affect them so deeply and they're fueling flames like but like then to like the outside viewer sometimes it feels like this doesn't need to be as deep as it feels right now.
Yeah, I think that they are both emotional players. And I know that Carolyn, it's very obvious she is because she wears her heart on her sleeve. What we learned, obviously, is Danielle was talking about that she knew that she needed to essentially project a character out there. And that I think we know that Danielle is a deeply loyal and emotional person, but has to guard that to play the game, especially of traitors, which is that like you are going to be betraying people constantly and you can't like you are emotionally attached. We saw her break down when she lost Bob, but you can't put that out there. So she did this projection of like the shaking and overreaction, which was frustrating to watch. I did not like that. However,
Well,
in hindsight, understanding that at least at least let me know that she was intentionally acting on a level that was extreme as opposed to I don't know what I thought, but
yeah, well it's funny that like the shaking thing became such a prevalent theme because I recently was revisiting Big Brother 3. And in the final HOH part one, Lisa Donahue, Queen, I would love to see her on Traders. Her and Marcellus together, iconic. But like Marcellus is one of the top contenders I want to see on Traders in a future season if he's interested, obviously. But Lisa's like, yeah, Danielle's like shaking and jittering a lot during this final competition because that's the one where they have the key and the rainwater and like
yeah.
she's cold. But Lisa's like, I think her shaking is forced. I don't think she's like actually all like I think she's putting on a show. And it's like interesting to see that in hindsight. I thought about like pulling that clip, but I'm not Brian Scally. I don't know how to do these edits.
Yeah, I'm not clever at it. You know what
Yeah.
I realized too is Robin acknowledged basically while they were there, nobody like hardly anyone was suspicious of Danielle for a very long time. And I think the same could be said about her in Big Brother 3. And I
Yeah.
think that the hand-holding meme of Danielle is her downfall is her confessionals. It's that people turn against her when she is telling you truly what she's doing. The
Yeah.
audience got pissed at her then. The audience got pissed at her now. The audience was also the jury back then.
Yeah.
So that creates this other level of that people feel very comfortable with Danielle. Then they hear Danielle's truth and it hurts them more for some reason in the after fact, even though I thought I would assume some of it's there. But for Carolyn, I guess it's different to know that she's being plotted against. But Poor Danielle and her confessionals, man.
But like, I also don't want her to stop being her because like
No, and
that's
she's
the
not
best
going to.
part.
It's
Yeah,
I think that's the thing is she's just it's
like the
we
Big
don't
Brother
want her to do that
adapted
either.
because they wouldn't
She's a
have a
game
show.
changer.
She literally is a game changer. That said, I still don't know if she beats Lisa or Jason in a sequester jury setting. Because like I feel like maybe she gets more votes. I feel like Amy votes for her. We don't have to rehash Big Brother 3 right now, but
Right. We'll
um
never fully know, but and same with
I do
like
think
with
Lisa was
Traitors,
winning
but it's not going to do it.
regardless. Yeah,
Yeah. But I think it's just interesting to see that where people turn is perhaps if we watched a show where Danielle had no confessionals, we would still probably be like, why are you crying so hard? And to us, it's like Robin said, boy, was Robin so insightful. By the way, Robin is if I'm going to pick housewife of the season on Traitors, it's Robin, who
yeah,
put
for
in
me too.
so much work. Robin on Potomac. I was a longtime Robin defender. Let's put it out there. I loved Robin. I turned against Robin near the end because it was like, what are you doing? This is, we need a break. Robin on Traitors showed up, put in the work, was very wrong, but she was playing. She was playing
Yeah,
so hard. I
everyone was
appreciated
like,
it.
Robin sucks. She's so boring. Why is she even here? Robin came away her being my favorite housewife of the season. I mean, I like
Yeah, Robin
Dolores
was, I was
also.
like, oh, maybe Robin should come back. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
we need,
I
it's
don't,
a good
my
break,
hot
but
take is I don't want, oh, you meant to the Housewives. I was like, I
to the
don't need a
Housewives,
Traitors
no.
All-Stars. I don't need it.
No, I think we're a long time off. And I've had this discussion I have one group chat where we talk like traders and stuff all day.
I really don't want a
And
Traitors All-Stars.
no, I don't think we're there yet. I think the thing right now with traders is that it is given its Emmys for both best reality show, host, casting, that this is like the crown jewel of reality TV. And they have to keep that level of, it's like a prestige show now. And it's not House of Villains and it's not Celebrity Big Brother. It's like when Great British Bake Off does the celebrity ones where they do like stand up to cancer bake off. Like they're trying to get like names here now. So I think that going back into the well for All Stars is like maybe when we would start to see like, oh, we're having a hard time. Like we can't cast anymore. And then I think they'd go back to the
Yeah,
well.
I really don't think Traders is a show that needs an all-stars format. Like I think it's fun as like the multiverse of like reality TV, but I don't like especially like then you get into things like of course the traders are going to be like more interesting to call upon because they have more TV time, but then it's like well then I don't need to see like some of these people be a traitor again. We kind of know what we're gonna get, and I don't really want
Right.
to see them as a faithful either. Like I'm like I would rather just like if you were gonna have all-stars, I think it would only be like people who were faithfuls the first time,
Yes, I
like pure
agree.
faithfuls, no recruits, no nothing. Like, but then you can't have a Kate Chastain who's clearly like one of the defining names of the Traitors franchise, in America at least, because I know there's the international ones.
Well, I was
Uh,
gonna say I'd be down if I were gonna do it. I still think though I agree with you totally that it would need to be all faithfuls or all traders. Like you can't have a mix of it. It just wouldn't work. But I would be down for the idea one day of like a global traders where it is all stars, but from around
well,
all the
so.
world that you
For
could.
me, like I do think like it would be fun to get more like global people. Like this is a show with all the housewives that come from international countries, with all the reality stars from international countries that
We
speak
had
English.
Ekin Sue last
Like,
year.
yeah, I feel like this is like a perfect avenue. Like even like just thinking about, and I've been talking about this as a Brazilian, but like Abby Maria and Adriana from Miami. I feel like you can have two Brazilians there off the jump.
Yeah.
I don't think you're calling Indy from Big Brother, but I feel like you can get Brazilian representation there. But then you can have like people from like these different backgrounds. Like I think a Tai Trang is someone that might be interesting to have on the show. Like these like out of the box picks that like you can really like represent the globe. And there's housewives from other countries as well, of course. Like I mean Ion for this season. So I don't know. I think the Traders is such an interesting experiment because it's like prestige reality TV. It's
Yeah,
kind of
it's
like
a new, it's a crown jewel right now, and
yeah.
they're going to protect it. And I think I'll be so curious to see what season four casting is as it, because last time it leaked pretty early, like as
Well,
soon as they were
they
like
I love
flying
the
out.
Traders is just
So
like yeah, here's our
they're
cast.
here.
Except for
Yeah, like
Derek
no
and
need to figure
West.
it
I
out.
think they should have just put Derek and West on the cast at that point. Like announce it and then like you can still do the twist. You still know they're coming, but
Yeah, because
um
I mean, it feels like they were going to do the same exact thing as UK and then maybe changed it slightly. I don't know.
yeah.
But I'm very intrigued. Do you? I love him taking over, but I've had this discussion, of course, but I know we all have people that like we want on the show. That's very different.
Charlotte Mirna.
Yeah, we want Charla and Mirna, but genuine like I think like I did yesterday in my chat. I was like, I'm calling my shot, point out to the outfield. Um, and I have one that I'm doing, but I do have the backup version because then I was like, maybe it would be this one instead. But I'm calling my shot right now that I think my this is opinion only. I have no basis, but based on like who they pull, whatever, I'm going with West from Summer House being on Traitors 4.
West. I need to look
With my
this person
backup
up.
option being, I think it should be Paige, but I think Paige is very expensive, very booked and busy. But it should be Paige, but I think West is at a high-ish point with fans. He had a little bit of a low point, but I think he when he first premiered on Summer House was very fan favorite, dated Sierra. They had a very messy breakup, but I could see him being
You're
utilized
not here
there.
for the Hannah Burner after this week?
Hannah Burner will not. I've never been a Hannah Burner, so
Well,
you
did you
won't
hear
hear
what she
that
did
name
at
from
the
me.
Oscars? Like with the
Yes, I don't. I
microaggressions?
never have liked her. This doesn't surprise me. I don't think she is that level, but I do
Yeah.
think.
I
I think Paige is a possibility, but
My
I would say
summer
that's
house
my guess.
people are consistently like it needs to be Lindsay. Uh
I think we can't, but I think it's now that she has a baby. Like I think Lindsay is one day, but now that she has like a newborn, I think it's out. I mean, it's not
Yeah, I mean,
impossible. Don't
because
get
I
me
do know
wrong. We've
Kate
seen the
went back for
challenge, but
season two after having a baby, but it's also like harder to do that. Especially like Wes can do it because he's a man, and like there's a whole like gender discussion about that where it's kind of more problematic that like guys are allowed to leave their newborns, but it's more like I remember this was like an early thing with Libra, was it on Big Brother 10? People were like
Mhm.
judging her. But I'm here for Lindsay because I've heard such lore of her, but like whenever she will, she'll be on it.
Yeah,
That's a
I think
film.
it's more that I think Lindsay
Yeah.
has
I
it when she wants it, but I don't think that she is the lock for casting for this
yeah.
season. And that's just my random
See,
prediction shot, calling my shot in the dark.
my
Probably
shot that
wrong,
I'm
but
calling is I think Kelly Wentworth is probably gonna be a
that's a good.
future.
I would really love Kelly Wentworth on it.
Because I think the people they're looking at is probably like Tyson next, and I don't know if Tyson wants to do it.
Yeah, because
Um,
I think the big thing that is like
so now they're
uh,
gonna start dipping into like the middle era, I feel
yeah,
like.
it's kind of the question too that depending on when they're pulling from and stuff, which is for the Survivor cast at least, is and maybe we'll have depending on which one films first, we might be able to make some guesses because you can't do Traders
And
and
50.
season 50. So who's like
And
out of
who's
the running will be
and I
curious.
feel like the reason I feel like Kelly Wentworth is such a lock is I don't think she wants to do Survivor again all that much. I
Yeah, I
think
can't imagine, but
if
I
maybe 50 is like tempting, but I still feel like Kelly would rather do Traders at this point in her life.
I think so. I think it's just like a next
Because she's a three-time
Traders is
All-Stars.
unlocking is
Yeah.
opening a door and unlocking a new chapter. And yes, you can be like Wells and nothing really happens from it. And you just have like a new line item on your resume to show that like at least you were considered top tier talent. But like
Yeah.
Gabby
Survivor is
opened
gonna be
another
the
level of stuff.
Dylan Efron.
Carolyn opened another. Dylan Efron. Like this is potentially if you succeed a star making thing or just whatever you want out of it. Maybe it just helps with the smallest things or it's just an experience. Who knows?
Mhm.
But I think that's a little more tempting, especially if you've done Survivor
Yeah.
3 times. But
I don't know
I
who's
don't
gonna
know for
do
a
it
fact
from the
it's
new
hard.
era. Like I feel like new era people are probably gonna like sit it out if they get a call because I think if like of the new era people, Q is like someone they might call for a traders eventually. Like I wrote a whole piece about the top five survivors I want to see on the traders. Not necessarily people. You know who I want to see on the traders? Rupert. I think it would be so
Oh
entertaining.
my God. Wouldn't shock me.
It wouldn't,
But yeah,
but well, no, my number one has always been Courtney Yates. That's the one I like desperately want to see. I don't know if she would like come out of retirement for that, but and Abby Maria, I'm biased, of course. Like I want to see her, but like I feel like this is gonna be an interesting casting season. I think I heard rumors last year that Alexia was like in casting for season three from Housewives of Miami.
oh
So
God, I would love that.
I'm a big fan of her. At least I'm only on season three of the OG Miami, so I haven't gotten to the Peacock
Oh yeah,
reboot.
I have actually never even watched the OG ones. I've only
Yeah,
watched the reboot, but I'm a big Alexia fan. Oh, talk about a person who has lived through life's tragedies. Dear God.
yeah.
Um,
Well, right now
so
it's the era of her like son just got in the accident, and now she's coming back to the season, and her other son's like getting in trouble, and
yeah,
this
it
season's
doesn't
yeah.
stop. She lives a
Well, and
very a very
Yeah.
crazy life.
Well, in season two, I also don't know if this is a take that stands the test of time, but I was a big Anna fan. But I don't know if that's
That I don't, again, I haven't gone back,
I
so
don't
I
know if
don't
she's like
really,
a modern like if that's something that stands the test of time. Like but
actually, no, they don't, I don't know about fans. This is not for fans. But the
Alexia doesn't
Housewives,
like her anymore, right?
correct. I will tease she does show up again in the future, and
Yeah, she comes
it's
up
not
as like
well
a friend of or a
received.
guest of or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Do we
it was
still
like a
do they still
one-off.
like Adriana? Because like I know she's a friend of the show now. She's not like a main star, but I
Like is a interesting word to use. Adriana is still a full force factor. Adriana comes in, clocks in, does her job. Like
okay.
she's, you know,
Because I
like, but
know
do they like her? I don't know if we could say that
but
because
because I know
she's
Glenn
very
loves her
messy.
on Blue Sky.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
she's great television. Like she's a mess.
Okay.
She's messy. That's
I
all.
also would have loved Havana Elsa on Traitors. Rest in peace, Queen.
Yeah,
That's
that
Marisol's
yeah.
mom.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that was my thought was a summer house. But now that I think of it, we haven't had
We only had Larsa from Miami.
for the Bravo stuff that like the larger Bravo extended universe, like if you're trying to get eyes on other
Well,
things. I was
Southern
gonna say
Charm, Southern
That's what
Hospitality.
Southern Charm and Southern Hospitality were.
Well,
So those are my blind spots on Bravo. I don't watch those,
I do
but
think it would be fun if Kim and Chelsea from One World were on it, representing two different things, like
oh,
Kim's
that would be kind of
Survivor, and
crazy.
then
I
yeah.
could see. Okay, so actually, I could see someone from Southern Charm finally to dip into something new. I personally would love a Married to Medicine
What
addition
about,
to
I mean,
Traders, but
Phaedra,
I don't.
right?
Who?
Phaedra, wasn't
Oh
she?
yeah, she
Yeah,
technically.
yeah.
I
What about
so
Top Chef?
that would be. I think it would be intriguing, but I think it's tough because I think they all like genuinely care about their careers. You know,
Yeah.
like that. I think there's
That's
Traders
more of
is one
like a
thing, but like
restaurant career versus
you're
like a
not like
drag
pushing.
queen is entertainment related, so a drag queen can come over.
Yeah, like I think chefs are focused on, which is tis my season. If for those of us who are food competition people, yes, we have Top Chef, but we're eaten with Tournament of Champions, which is like now one of the prestige chef competition shows. Have you watched Tournament of Champions?
I'm not a cooking show person because I know if I get in, I'll go all in, and I
Yeah. Have
like
you heard of it? Do you know
no.
like what the
Oh, I
premise?
think maybe
Okay,
you've talked about it
probably. I
briefly,
talk about it
but
all the time. So Tournament of Champions, hosted by Guy Fieri, with so what it is a March Madness bracket style
mm,
cooking competition. So they start with 32 chefs. You win or you're out. There's no buybacks, any of that. It's expanded further now that they've have a play-in tournament to put in slots, and so you're just competing in your bracket, and they do like East and West, and you compete down, and they have a randomizer each round. So it's like a giant like wheel of fortune thing where it spins and it gives you like a protein, vegetable, a piece of equipment you have to use. I should know this better. Piece of equipment you have to use. So it might be like a waffle iron. And then they give you, they changed one out last season, and then like a style. So it might be like
Mexican.
pork chops, broccoli, a waffle iron, sweet and sour, and you have 15 minutes, whatever. And then they have to make a dish, and it's judged blind. So the judges don't know who's making it. And then it's tournament style. And it's so riveting. And the level of chefs that they get on it are people you recognize, or they make these new ones. So you're watching it and you're seeing like, oh, this person won guys grocery games 5 times. I'm like, who cares about guy? Like, I don't watch the show. Then that person suddenly is the underdog who's making it to like final four, and you're like, wait, who is this now? And then you start to root for people, and it's I'm
Hmm.
not trying to get you addicted, but
Yeah.
hopefully others will. But it's very exciting. So that's what I think a chef is more likely to place themselves into things that are going to draw business and show like that you make appetizing food to come to the restaurant, as opposed to
Hmm.
I can suss out a trader. And I would never say never. You know who would probably
Yeah.
do it? Curtis Stone. Because
Is that a guy we don't like?
no, I just, you know,
Yeah.
he's like hosted like every show. He's like
Okay.
always a host. And then I finally did see him cook because I didn't know if he
Okay.
actually could.
Okay. Pitch for Traders. This
Yep.
is the show we get Jeff Probst and Julie Chen and Phil Kogan to do. Like, I feel like that would be fun.
Oh my
A
God.
twist
That,
on
to be
it.
honest, to have like kind of Jeff put in his place about like, I don't like when you cast some other shows and put him on Traders. Oh,
Yeah. But like and then we haven't really spoken like I mean, besides like the people from the other shows like Boston Rob, Brittany, Janelle who have done Amazing Race, I feel like it's time we get an Amazing Racer in there. I feel like Charlotte and Myrna are I mean, that's just me. But there's like the Globetrotters I think might be fun. Mike White, if he wants to do it. I think he's a little
Mike
booked
White,
and
I think
busy.
they would. Yeah, I think if he wasn't booked and busy, I did say I think it would be if he one, if he was free, he would absolutely be given 50. And I think he's probably one of the first calls every
I
season
think
they do a
he
returnee.
wants to
I think
do
if
I think he
he
would want to do 50. It's just what HBO lets him do.
I'm just
Which I'm
like I
like,
just don't know how it works because I'm
well, he
because like
probably
honestly like he's
he
the
can probably
boss,
be like,
man.
yeah, he can probably be like, no, I'm doing 50. If you want a fourth season of The White Lotus,
Because it's not
you
like
let me
White
do
Lotus
50.
films like immediately.
Yeah, he
Like
still has to write it. He's probably gonna wait until the season ends. Then he's gonna go
yeah,
to
so
wherever the fuck he wants to film next and sit down, vacation for 10 weeks, write a season. Then he has to go like cast. So like,
yeah,
yeah, it's gonna be a while.
I would enjoy him on Traders if he wanted it. And that's what I'm curious is essentially like who who wants Traders?
Yeah.
And like in a bigger sense too, because I don't know like how what if there are any restrictions or anything like of
Like the
how you
people
can be
who
cast,
want
but like
traders, I think, like, I mean, I think everyone would want traders in, like, if 50
not in
wasn't
a
on the
reality show though,
horizon.
but like a level of
Yeah.
fame, like on a
Yeah.
fame level, I mean,
Yeah.
less than like oh
Like,
like I
all the
was on
survivors
Survivor
want to
anyhow.
be
Like
it. But, like,
everybody wants to do
I
we
think
want to
they
do
could
Traders.
probably start, like, reaching out with Zac Efron's brother winning. I feel like they might
Right.
be able to get real celebrities now.
Yeah, and I just
Like,
don't
and
know
it,
like is there a business reason that like they can't? I don't know, but I think that
yeah.
like I was thinking, you know what who's like a name that to me is like both a celebrity that's big enough name but isn't to my knowledge like but like a Neil Patrick Harris who
Yeah.
always wanted to do Survivor or something. Like I think there's
I think
always the
this is,
possibility.
like, a show that, like, also I could see, like, I don't know if Bo and Yang can get on an SNL contract, but Matt Rogers could easily do
I was curious
traders.
if Matt Rogers could get contacted, but I feel
Yeah.
like he's doing. He mentioned on the podcast recently how he was like growing out his hair for a project, and I was like, okay,
Okay.
it's probably not traders. But
Imagine
I
you
do
have a
think,
hair contract in traders.
yeah, I do think, and this is more about like I don't know what the budget of traders is. My opinion also, I'm not picking a person. I guess my like light shot in the dark is there will be this is at least a call. Someone from Love Island USA 6. Whether it is top
Cordell.
tier. Well, that's the question. Is like, what level of budget do you have?
Yeah.
I think that the goal is everyone wants, you want Leah, but there are many other options that trickle down from popularity. So I would say anybody from that final 8 to
Okay.
10. I would say like it's, like
The Powerpuff Girls,
Powerpuff
Cordell.
Girls, PPG, and their men are all options. And then I would say like Liv and Kaylor and
Well,
Kendall.
didn't Aaron win traders already? Like the UK
Yes, he
version? Yeah.
did. Yeah,
Yeah.
so he's not, but he's also not popular. Oh,
Yeah.
and Rob. I think like if Rob, like I think they will try. I just don't know like what's the budget of a
Well,
traders because they're
yeah.
so in demand. But I also think if the idea of all these shows is, oh, well, this person has X number of followers, so we predict that they will come watch, then like maybe it is worth whatever the fee is to potentially get Leah's 3 million fans,
Yeah.
you know?
I also like as the Survivor fan of me, I want to see Amber do it. I don't think she wants to,
That
but
would be intriguing.
I feel like we were robbed of seeing her on Winners at War because she was like voted out for like the stigma of Robin Amber.
Right.
Uh, and I want to see Amber play. I mean, there's other Survivor polls that we can obviously get. Like I think Sophie Clark would be phenomenal. Camo mentioned like there's like the list runs deep for Survivor. And it's always interesting seeing who's gonna hold out for 50. Like I was actually kind of surprised that Davey was apparently an alternate for this. Like I was like, oh, Davey was not even on my radar for traders.
So I think I'm curious with Survivor and traders of like level of name recognition and prestige. And I don't mean this to be shady. So apologies if this is how it is coming off. But I guess like that you do have like your Boston Robs, your Tonys, your Jeremys, your Parvati's, your Cerise, who are like put, the Survivor
Sandra, yeah.
Pantheon. You're putting it on Sandra, you're putting them on the box. They've got their face on the cover of the DVD, and not this, but like when they did announce Carolyn, I was like,
Of the new
we're
era,
pull,
I get
we're
it, but weird poll.
weird, but like, yeah, and so there was a thing to me that was like, okay, these are this is a random choice, knowing that there is just like 20 years worth of like names, household names.
Mhm.
So I guess I would be curious where they're going with this. And I think it's also again going back to the idea of like prestige, that like to what level before it starts to seem like any other show, like a challenge cast where you're like, it's
I think,
the
yeah.
guy who was on Casa Amor for a day and a half and got voted out of Love Island. You're like, who?
Yeah, and this is why we have to like keep it at this level for now because there will be a
Right.
time, and
It
Survivor
will
saw it.
happen.
Traders will dwindle, and like I mean, I think also like reality
A
TV is
new
just having
Supreme will rise one day, Felipe.
yes, the traders, which is why in my article I put Taj on the list. I think Taj would be an interesting pull because she has like she like kind of fits in the celebrity world, but also is a
Yeah.
Survivor alum, and I think it's like a marriage of like entertainment industry sectors. And that's why like, and I think she would be phenomenal also like casting. I love Taj. Big
I
Taj
would be
fan.
curious too, because obviously the
Stars.
Dancing with the Stars snatched up some of the big Olympic
Phaedra.
names.
Oh,
Um,
Alona.
right, Alona, Steven, and I think there are others that they kind of grab very quickly.
Simone Biles for the Traders.
Right, like I would love to see Olympians. So I love to see our
Yeah,
strategic
this is gonna be
faves.
like the
Don't
new
get me
Dancing with the
wrong, but
Stars.
I would like ultimately one thing that's going to probably start happening. Maybe it's just that like, hey, they're always ahead of us. It's too late. But like having a Survivor trader, a Big Brother trader, like the same things, it's just going to lead,
Metagaming.
yeah, metagaming and just whatever. That I think they're going to have to be clever with who they cast. And I like seeing people who have the strategic driving force, but I do want to see some new kind of people in the mix and new
Hmm.
kind of traders. And I think pulling from different sources, like we had, well, not that he was good, don't get me wrong, but we did get Ryan Lochte season 1.
Yeah.
Bless his heart, but but I think it's fun to see people
And
like
he, yeah.
others play that aren't just
Like the
like the
people
people who sit around and have sat around for 39 to 25 days, whatever. What's new era? 25,
26.
26. Um, but yeah, like people who like
Yeah.
this is like their bread and butter
I
versus,
think
you know,
this is such a fascinating time for reality TV because I also mentioned this. Like I think with the 90-minute episodes, I think Survivor is and also like the post-COVID Netflix boom, Survivor is the most popular it's been in like
yes,
20 years. I don't think it's ever gonna reach the same heights as like seasons 1 to like 5. Not
no.
that
But
Thailand
that's what
does it
Traders is like right now. It
yeah, Traders
feels
is like
like, yeah.
yeah, because people like at work are coming up to me and like, "You watch Traders, right?" I was like, "Of course I do." Like I have taste. Like
Yeah.
people like that don't watch reality TV watch Traders.
I was
Um,
shocked. I put up a poll this week on my Instagram stories, and I noticed it last year too. But I just put it up, and I assumed it would be kind of like you are like the normal crew of people that I talk
yeah,
about reality with answering. And the people I know who like were out of the woodwork voting for Faithful or Traders, who are you rooting for? And I was like,
yeah,
oh, like
yeah.
so then it's be then trying
And
to
then it's
convince
also
them to
like
watch International
with
afterwards,
my people like at work, like I know these some of these people come from reality TV. Like one of my coworkers and friend Stacy, she's like a bachelor girly, and then she like I'm just like talking, we're having a conversation about Traders, and then she like just starts bringing out Boston Rob Amber lore like from Survivor All Stars, and I'm just like I was like I went up to her, I was like. That was so cool to me that you just like pulled that out. And she's like, "Oh yeah, like I did a whole TikTok deep dive on this man, and he was so fine." And like everyone's like obsessed with Boston Rob. Like I was like, yeah, I like I love the fact that like people are like learning. This is like lore to me that's important to me and foundational to
I
my
didn't,
life.
you know what? I didn't remember that either. And I obviously am older. So therefore, when Rob was coming out, I was probably at like a peak level that I should have acknowledged it. And maybe, because you're a Massachusetts person as well. Perhaps for me, it was just like I just overlooked because I'm like, yeah, you are like every person around here. Like
Well, I got into the
I
show
hear your
in
voice and
2012.
I
Yeah.
hear every person walking up and down the street, every person I hear in a supermarket. So to me, you're like same old, same old. So I couldn't
Do
maybe notice the hotness versus like when I see someone like a Malcolm and you're like, oh my God.
I Malcolm would be great on Traders. Andrea also another one I think
Yeah.
would be fun. Well, so I don't know about you, but like I think the reason I'm so like protective of who I want to see play Traders is because I'm like I don't like this is not meant to be shade to like most of the cast of Dave vs. Goliath besides Angelina and Mike White, but like I don't need any of you. Like you're not at that level yet. Like, give me people from the woodwork. Like, I want people to learn the lore of Courtney Yates. I want people to learn the lore of Marcellus Reynolds. I want people to know Jen Johnson by name. Like, give me these like old school people. Selfishly, like, I only watched Dondi this season for Dr. Will. I'm an episode behind, but like, you can talk about it if you want. But like, I don't know if I'm gonna watch Dondi unless it's like Rob Cesternino is on next season. Like,
Yeah, like
there's
I think Donnie's doing a good job of pulling in again the
talent.
big names of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, like pulling in big names while balancing it with other compelling characters. Because I did not watch season one of Dondi
I refuse.
because I saw Rob and I was just like, he's gonna do what he always does and kind of like grab a hold of the game and
Just
choke
didn't
the
have
life
any
out of it.
interest, but
And
Dr. Will coming back to TV, I was
but
like,
yeah,
I'm
that
in.
intrigued me. And then Parvati and then David. So I was like, all right, I'll check out this Dondi, whatever. I
Cast is
don't,
messy.
do I understand what I'm watching? 80% of the time, no. I don't know. I even tried to send a text trying to logically come up with like a briefcase strategy of like, do you want to see low numbers or do you even care if there are high numbers as long as you can say, I don't know. It's a mess, but I'm obsessed with it now. I'll probably go back. And I do want to say something too, which is as a long time Boston Rob Venter, I will give him his credit in Traitors of his social game is immaculate.
Yeah,
Because
that's
again,
what I.
if we're even thinking of the meta game, the fact is that, and Dylan basically said so in the reunion, I know what Rob's going to do. He's going to take a new person and drag them along as far as they can. Like, and he does it, and he does it. Chriselle knew who he was. Like, he really played those
But
people of like, and you see post show, he is still friends with them. It's not like he just used them and abused them. Kind of like we're hearing Dr. Will post Dondi is like a good friend to everybody.
yeah, oh, I
Um,
love Dr. Will. Like that man. Like
yeah, he's just pure chaos. He really,
I'm so bitter that
I'm
he
just
went out so
shocked that
early.
nobody's ever considered on Deal or No Deal, just counting off the briefcase in an order.
Yeah, he cracks me up. Like, I am so, like I'm gonna finish the season because I already started and I'm a completionist. But like when Dr. Will got eliminated, I was like, do I even care anymore? Like I like
I'm
Parvati, I
so
like
intrigued. You know what though?
David.
I'm
But yeah, the
intrigued.
cast like CK is a mess. I was a Lachelle boy. I like Letty. I like Philip. I like these people. Like they cast some real weirdos.
I thought that Dondi was going to be like the exact same as Survivor. I didn't realize they were glamping. And in that case, I'm like, oh, I probably could do this.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna
I
send in
wouldn't
a
have to live
tape.
outside. I'm
I'm gonna
in.
send in a tape, but like yeah, I'm gonna see like because if I get to play a reality show with like Keisha from Big Brother, I'm like sure.
So
Like
many, this is like many years ago. Yeah, like more than a decade. I went to the auditions for One versus 100, which was also Deal or No Deal, which is clearly why I didn't get cast because they like it was just about like being loud and with personality. And I went in hard with like,
yeah,
here's how I know trivia, and everyone else there's like, I love the number seven and whatever.
yeah,
But yeah, that was an experience
yeah.
back in the day. So I'd have to really up my stuff if I ever want to be on Dondi to show like
Mhm.
that I can get enthused about a briefcase.
Yeah. No, and I think also the boot order has been like conducive to like because I respectfully I don't care about Luke or Rock or those early boots, but like
Yeah.
the CK's a mess and like I just wish we got Dr. Will like immune until the final four. Like 'cause,
Oh,
that would
but it was, he served his purpose
yeah.
and he did a good job keeping
Yeah.
the season going. So
I'm just
I
glad I got to
recommend him.
watch Dr. Will on a reality show because I got into the show during 2012 and he was like firmly retired by that point. So like
Yeah.
it was just exciting for me to like see one of my all-time favorites because he's never going to do the Traitors. There's not enough money on the table for him. Like
No, I
that
mean, he already
appearance
showed up
fee.
to sit on a porch to,
Yeah.
sit in a rocking chair last time or
Um
whatever.
while we like wind down with the Traitors, I do think like the evolution of where we go from here. One thing that I want to say though, I love the fact that the show knew what it was from jump. It had a vision because it's obviously like just a theater game that we play growing up, Mafia. But
Yeah,
this
it's werewolf.
like
It's and it literally took werewolf's twist of the seer, which we
yeah,
could talk for 2 hours about. We won't do that.
but the production designers like the aesthetic of the show and Alan Cumming is finding his footing as host. I just feel like they understand what this show is. It's camp, it's melodrama, it's
And it's
high production.
cinematic.
And that's the thing. I think that's like if it didn't have that from jump, I don't know if Traders is that successful. If it's like in some other generic setting, but the fact that they knew what they wanted to like make it in the cinema quality. Like I think that's something very important that
I think it's changing the game in
yeah.
terms of like newer shows we're seeing having, and that's also a little bit of the Netflix of it all.
It's like
But I
world
will say
building.
this week I watched, as we know, I cannot quit
Singles
the Bachelor
Inferno. Oh,
franchise.
okay.
No, Singles Inferno is filmed beautifully.
Yeah.
There is a shot. I need to like text you. There was a shot on Singles Inferno. I was like, this is art. Like the cinematography that they had was, but that's the thing is, Traitors has cinematography. Netflix stuff does. There is like a style, but they are pushing it up. You know,
And
like
Survivor has
people,
always been like at the forefront of like
Survivor is
cinematography.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing Race. It's there. It is improved because like there's only so much you can do because you're running around. But I was watching The Bachelor this week, and they're at hometowns, and I'm like, did they film this just like with a family's video camera? It looks like garbage. It looks old. It does not look stylized. There's nothing like Love Island is literally shot on security cameras basically and looks prestige and beautiful. And when they go to their dates, they've got slow-mos and angles. And The Bachelor is washed out, ugly, home video recording ass looking things. It looks terrible. And that's why
The
there's
Bachelor's
a lot to
crumbling.
it. That's not the
There's
prime
there's
reason.
no, The
But there's
Bachelor fumbled
The
the
Bachelor is
bag just
starting to
like
die.
Skype
The
did.
Bachelor is starting to die, and part of it is it has not like when we talk about that there's a formula with just certain things. The other formula is that they've never pushed themselves to, or
They've
the
never
level that they're
evolved.
pushing themselves creatively is really dull
They're
and
stuck
boring.
in
And
the
when they do, they
2000s where it's all these
right.
white people. I know the lead is black this season, but it's all these like white people, toxic producers trying like these old school formulas. There's no like evolution and change.
It's
Like
just not.
I
It's not
know
attractive to watch. There's just
people,
no excitement.
yeah,
It's
people love to
plug and
come for
play.
Jeff Probst and Allison Grodner, but at least they evolve with the times. Granted, like with the CBS diversity initiative, like that came with it. But I do appreciate the fact that Jeff is like, this is the best casting the show has ever produced right now because
Right.
we're getting the most diverse stories and like we're getting like these incredible people that like we would have overlooked in the Spillman era.
Yeah, and
Um,
I give the Bachelor franchise credit to some extent. Not a lot because they've got
yeah,
a lot of criminals in there. But they've got a lot of trash men, but excellent finding of women and whatever.
Gabby, yeah,
Like they've had like some they have improved. It is more diverse. They have some good stories. The problem is that they just don't allow it to be fleshed out and everyone is just
as
basically
yeah,
like their trauma that you don't get to see
and
the
it's
fun
also
side of people.
like
And again, it's just that it it's plug and play, which is like, okay, you're going to go on this date and have a fun time. And you get one joke, and we're going to tell you what to say on camera, and you're going to repeat it. Then you're going to go to dinner and tell us what's wrong, like
with your trauma.
what's your trauma, and then you're going to get a rose or not. And it moves on, and then it looks like garbage, and we're just not getting anywhere with it. And it's too plug and play instead of like really stepping back and like, how do we make this for the
Like if
year
you really want to take a
2025?
swing, make it bisexual.
Do some like
Like even if it's
do literally
gimmicky,
anything.
like
You just have to do something that's a little bit it's just like
Love
keeping it.
Island is
I
like
know
the
that there's
better
about
dating show right now. And like
yes, there's
you
Bachelor Mansion. It's an iconic space.
it
Maybe
burned
it's time to
down.
move. Paint, yeah, like
Mhm.
find a new space, film it better, get a camera that doesn't look grainy. It's just low. It looks low quality, which it probably is budget wise. But I also feel like I've seen TikToks that look more impressive, and I understand that's 90 seconds, but like we're in an era that you
Yeah.
can drop anything into software and
With the
make it
Big Brother
glam it up.
production looks more glamorous than a bachelor
Yes,
date.
Big Brother looks like the colors are bright and vibrant. Like it just, I don't want to keep saying the same thing over and over, but
Yeah.
that's my gripe. Traders is prestige
Um,
because
from
it
The
is,
Bachelor,
you are performing and being participating in essentially a movie of reality TV. And it's
yeah.
amazing. Like who doesn't want to be a part of something with like
I'm
a set
bitter
like
that they
that, you
don't
know?
allow civilians anymore because they I didn't know about this when they were casting season one, and I should have applied for that if I knew.
I know. And we're seeing it now with other, I
Like this
saw a
is the only other
preview.
show I would actually like go and do. Like Survivor's childhood dream, I want to do that. But like if they allowed civilians to do regular traders or claim to fame Brazil, I would do that. But
Yeah.
um yeah.
They just need to step it up, and I think then you'll get people to apply who are really excited. And I think if traders, I don't think it's out of the question that they'll do a US civilian. I think it's a long way off
Yeah.
because it's still too prestige, because
I yeah.
they don't want anything to take away from
Yeah.
this being top
I feel
tier
like in the
A-list
future, if they ever
reality.
started doing two seasons a year and the prestige started to wear off, I could see them doing one civilian, one
Yeah, I
celebrity.
think it's going to take a while first. Just like
Yeah.
they and impressive the other way around that, and I don't know if they've released the cast. There's only been rumors, but it took 3 seasons for them to do a celebrity UK, and we don't even know necessarily who's there. I anticipate that would be very top tier, and we'll see like the level of it. But I would assume they're getting the cream of
Yeah.
the crop. So
Yeah, and then that's why also we don't need another royal person. Like that we don't need the British person if
yeah.
they're gonna do Celebrity UK.
If you're going to
Um
do a British person, do what they did with Dondi and bring a person that was on Traitors
Austra
UK,
yeah.
Traitors Australia. Bring somebody like
Love Island
internationally.
UK, yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
mean
they
they did
brought
that with
they did
Ekin so
Ekin, but like,
yeah.
you know, bring other people in. But if
Yeah.
you're going to do that, bring someone from Traitors UK and let them lie about what they were,
Bring
because
Janine
that's another
Ellis
side of
from
it.
Survivor Australia. I would love to see her on Traders.
And by the way, this season of Australian Survivor is killing it, and I'm loving it so
Yeah,
far.
that challenge in the last episode,
Oh my God,
so
I was
so
laughing
good.
out loud.
Yeah.
It was
Um
genius. Great season.
I
If you're not
yeah.
watching it, everybody, you should jump in. They're doing a good job on their editing this year
And
because
also all the
usually,
toxic people left already. For,
spoiler,
yes. Um
not all. But here's the thing, and I said it about
well,
one,
the
and
people that
as
were
soon as one
toxic to the
falls,
part that I didn't like that I
yeah,
was
like
not having fun
a new
watching.
one will rise.
Yeah.
And now that we've lost one, a new person will show their
Yeah.
ass. But that's what's been enjoyable about the season too, is you have
Hmm.
someone to very actively root against. And so I've enjoyed it. And I just think that Australian Survivor the past few years has had, so they both have like the 90-minute format of US and Australia. Um, I think that Australia has fallen to this pattern of only telling like the stories of like three people.
Yeah.
And and that's I honestly think generous because I don't remember anybody from last season except for Ferris and Kirby, and I know there are other and
Yeah.
the end supporting company.
Yeah.
Whereas US has 90 minutes, sometimes feels a little like but they tell a lot of stories, and I feel very balanced about each person for the most part.
Yeah, I compare Australian Survivor as like the Marvel movie of Survivor and
Yeah,
Survivor US is like the A24.
right. But now I think Australian Survivor maybe has seen the error of their ways, and we'll see. It could change once merge comes. But right now, I feel very balanced in.
Yeah.
There's only
And
like maybe three people I don't know who they are.
and it's also like they will do like I didn't know half the cast for the first 2 weeks, but now like every like I feel like they'll do the thing where they like introduce like okay, first week here's six people that you need to pay attention to, and then the next week here's like four more people that are going to be important,
Yeah,
and then like as people get voted off from the original six, like Nash, spoilers, but who cares? Like, like when Nash and Kent leave, then it's like time for like Logan to show up, for an AJ to pop up, and like as
yeah,
the like people who were getting screen time fall off, then we introduce new people, and it's
right.
just
There's people around, but they're doing a good job. And also for some people, we don't really know them. It's
yeah,
simply because
the purple
they're
bronze
trying.
people.
Yeah, like they're winning.
Yeah,
Like
I want to know the
it's that we had a
logistics of how
disaster today.
Morgan did this and the Olympics last year.
Impressive.
Yeah, but any final thoughts on Traders? Any like dream casting? Like we mentioned Bachelor quickly. I'll say I would like to see Rachel Lindsay on the show.
Oh, I
Um,
would love Rachel. I think Rachel Lindsay would be a phenomenal choice for them.
mhm, I agree.
Um, actually, falling in again, this is where I don't think it's possible because they're on tour and I don't know when it ends. I know whatever. I just don't know what the contracts are for ABC. Would love to. Because I do think who they should get technically, like to be on top of Trent, everything would be Joey Graziadei. Dancing with the Stars winner Joey
Yeah,
Graziadei. I think he's
no
like
Gentran.
I think Jen's fine. I just think that right now Joey is on a high that it makes the most sense to get him
Yeah,
high following, one Dancing with the Stars. Like he's got a very devoted fan base. I wouldn't mind seeing Jen, but I
I
think
could.
Joey's got a real charisma that I think that there's a difference between casting and when you cast people of knowing like 100% they're going to be a faithful versus like I could see a Joey being on the show and maybe them making him a traitor because I feel like maybe he could pull it off. Versus like I
Yeah.
feel like if Jen Tran were on,
Valid.
she would be a
I
faithful.
feel like Caitlin Bristow could be a fun trader call if
I don't
she's.
like. Can I tell you? I think
You don't like her?
technically I don't like her anymore. I
Okay,
haven't liked her for a
why?
little
What's the
while.
T?
I just think she's like a messy human.
Okay. I don't know the
Yeah,
details. I haven't kept up with her since her season of Dancing with the Stars, but
yeah.
Hannah Brown.
She's a lot of drama.
Do we like Hannah
Is
Brown
Hannah Brown
still?
like still relevant? I
I don't
guess
know.
like, but enough.
Rachel Lindsay, I
My,
think, is the one that like
I
for
think
me,
Rachel
like
Lindsay would be
she's
my
the
top
top
two is Rachel
choice.
and Joey. I think
Okay.
Rachel and Joey make the most sense of having like whatever. I'll just say my thing about Hannah Brown and maybe that era, like because she was also had Pilot Pete and stuff like that, is if you have the platform for like Bachelor, etc., right? And you gain followers, but you haven't gained like any since that point,
Yeah.
like you've stayed at your same amount that you gained, then like What are you giving to
Hmm.
to continue to move on?
No, that makes sense. And then like lastly for Big Brother people that I'd be down to see, I mean Vanessa is the top choice. I would love to see Vanessa play. I
Yeah,
don't think
Vanessa
she
would
wants
be
to.
an iconic choice.
But Jen Johnson for me is like top tier. I just want to see her in the castles.
What a choice. Wait, who would I want to see from Big Brother? I'm very bad at pulling Big Brother name though. Rennie.
Rennie, yes,
I want Rennie on
Rennie.
everything. Um, no, oh, we were talking about our group chat. Chelsea from this past season. I
Yeah,
think
Chelsea.
Chelsea would be
If
amazing on
Angela's
it.
on the show, I might not watch. I hate Angela with a
Yeah,
passion.
I don't.
She's too
Yeah,
much.
I don't even want, we shouldn't even put it out in the
Yeah.
universe. But I think
Uh,
Chelsea would be great on it. So
Felicia.
Felicia would be, as we saw in our HGP traders, great. I would love to, you know what, Cam and the dogs at the crib.
Yes, I love him. I unironically voted for him for America's favorite player. I voted for him every single time possible.
I do not remember who I voted for America's Favorite.
I
Actually, I
voted for
don't think
Kim.
you know what? I don't know if I voted for America's Favorite Player this year.
Was there a vote for Survivor this week, by the way, or no?
No, I double checked because I
Okay.
didn't remember seeing it. So then I went through because last week I'd taken a photo of the QR code so I could like access it. And then I was like scrolling to find it. And checked and it didn't seem like there
Okay.
was a vote.
I could
Let us
also, I
vote on
mean,
number of tribes.
yes. Taylor Hale eventually will be on Traders. It's not
Taylor
an if
Hale
and
would
it's a
be, yeah,
when.
Taylor Hale is is a prestige level should
Yeah.
do it.
I would love to see like Xavier or Tiffany, like one of like I don't know anyone else from the cookout, but those two I'd be okay.
Yeah, I think that especially Tiffany is a really good like I think that right now though, knowing that you just had Danielle from Big Brother, I think
Yeah.
no, I personally think if I were from Big Brother, I, even though it would be hard to turn it down, I think you
Yeah.
should turn it
I think
down because I think
Vanessa will
all the
turn it down
heat.
easily. Yeah.
I think right
Yeah,
now, I
that's
just
why I
think from like
said
a, I think
Kelly and
you have a target on you
Marcellus
now.
like would be like, but like you can't. Marcellus is not a traitor. Like I feel like they would like vote him out,
Right.
which is sucks. But like,
And that's, but
yeah, and
I think that Big Brother in particular, and maybe people won't pay attention because then, well, we got rid of the one challenge person because, you know, we had Trishelle and CT winning. But like, I think that given that two Big Brother people made it so far and one was a traitor, that
I mean they
eyes will
both
be
were a
very,
traitor.
oh yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, traitor and recruit. So basically, like the idea that these strategy, if anyone's smart and if anyone
Yeah.
is doing the research before the show, like a Dylan Efron did, and does their homework before they do the show, then they will understand you need to get rid of these clusters and groups because there will be a traitor amongst them and they will all potentially protect each other. Not fully, because like Survivor
Everyone from Big
went
Brother
chaos, but
besides Janelle, Derek, and Rachel Riley were traitors at some point. Because Suri and Cody, Suri did traitors
yeah.
first, and then Dan, and then we had the two this season. So
So
like
yeah, if I were a Big Brother alumni and I got the call to be on Traitors this season, I would basically take into
casting, this is
consideration.
when you give us a wash and give us Jordan Lloyd because eventually she's gonna get a call.
Right. Like I
Give
would
us
just
a
say,
Jordan
yeah.
this season. Give us
Like
someone that's
the
not impactful. Like I like Ian
yeah,
fine, but
like I think
like
if I were somebody who was like a big known name as like a
like
especially
June, sit this one out.
like a yeah, like if it was like a June, a Tiffany, Vanessa, all these who are like known as strategic masterminds from Big Brother,
Sit it
decline
out.
the
Yeah.
call this season because if you are known, they're going to come for you because Big Brother is on yeah.
Kaser's like turn this down, even though like I think Kaser would be a target early, and I think he's
Yeah.
probably like
I
next on
think
the
it's just
docket.
if you are part of Big Brother in particular, I think it's going to stick out more because Brittany and Danielle were such the central focal point of it.
Yeah,
Whereas even though
I
like
was so
one could
bummed.
argue because there's two Survivor people that were traitors that like you should be on the watch for
Yeah,
Survivor. But I think the fact that they were more willing to dump each other than they probably should. Well, that's what Tony. Actually, I don't really care. I think you should just dump people. That's the point of traders is actually you shouldn't be keeping your people. You should be dumping them.
yeah, no, and
It's not smart.
I also think yeah, it's just like to come in as a gamer like is gonna be like season four. We'll see how many people are metagaming is gonna be like interesting to watch. Give us multiple drag queens is another request I
Would love
have.
that. Yeah, would love
Like
more drag
Trixie
queens.
and Monet and Candy Muse.
I think Monet could be a solid shot because having like the
Bob.
brat, yeah, the Bob vouching for her participation. So
Yeah.
I'd be intrigued. I'm super excited to find out who's coming, but I do think that Big Brother and probably Survivor to an extent, but more so Big Brother would need to be on high alert this season that they're coming, they're going to come for you
Yeah.
if
This
they're
is
smart enough to.
if they're
And
smart.
then
Yeah.
and maybe they're not smart enough to, and that's
Yeah. Hey,
Just people do research.
I'm also a Josh Martinez boy. I
Oh,
haven't
Josh
kept
would
up
be
with him on the
interesting.
challenge, but
Yeah.
like I like you can keep Casey at home, but Josh can stay.
And also, I guess one thing that again would be impacting is we talked about Survivor 50. We keep going on about Traitors. I know we're going to talk about other stuff. But on the top of the Survivor 50 is the gossip that there is a Big
Big Brother Amazing
Brother
Race
Amazing Race,
that Jen
which then would
Johnson is
take
rumored to be in? Question
it
mark.
really? Or are you
That's
putting this
that.
out there
No, no,
again?
no. They like it's
Oh,
one of those
really?
like
I
reality
haven't
TV
looked it
Twitter
up.
accounts.
Yeah.
And they were like the locks are like Tucker, Corey, it's
So
Zach
that's where I'm
probably.
curious is then if you
Turner is
take
also a
it, yeah,
lock.
but basically if you take that Amazing Race, you are also therefore probably not in traders contention. So I think we're going to get a lot of information of like get our conspiracy theory boards, our strings out to know, or we've got our photos and we X them out that
Yeah.
they
I
can't
would
do it.
okay, one last shout for Big Brother. Diane Henry. Put my mom back on TV. My mother, like or Allison Irwin also. Like give us some of these old schools. Like I want old schoolers that I never got to watch on TV. That like I want to like the Dr. Willification of it all. But you can keep some of them at home. Like we don't need Howie in 2025.
No,
No. That said, Yvette, I'd be here for.
that's a no for me, dog.
Do you want to talk about White Lotus?
Let's do it.
So
Can I name any character names? Barely.
I know Lachlan because he's
Lachlan.
he's the little brother and he's giving bisexual baddie.
I did look, I should say, I like before
The podcast you
an
looked
hour
that
and a
up.
half ago. Yeah, I went to an article to look it up because too many people, I feel like they don't say each other's names, which is, I guess,
I
nice because
just know
that's
Saxon
normal.
because she's like Saxon.
Saxon, Timothy. And
uh,
we know Belinda, and isn't that all
Belinda,
that matters?
keep protect her with all my life. Oh, and I call him Uncle Rico. I don't even know his
Yeah, Uncle
name.
Rico. That's Greg, right? Greg, but I think he's going by Gary now.
Gary, Gary, and
If
then
we
I
saw
know
this
Amy Lou
episode.
Wood as Amy Lou Wood, Walton Goggins as Walton Goggins, Carrie
Yeah,
Coon as Carrie Coon.
Uncle Baby Billy's there. His
I understood that
girlfriend.
reference, but I don't watch that show, Righteous Gemstones.
Oh my God, change that. It's so good.
Um, yeah, like the ladies. What's her name? Jasmine, Jacqueline. Like that's
There's Jacqueline, and then there's
Leslie Bibb
Leslie Bibb
and
and Carrie
Carrie
Coon.
Coon.
Honestly, I feel like it would have been iconic if they just played themselves as a group of friends.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, season four is definitely gonna have like I feel like season four, a future outing, like the friendship group is gonna be like the gays on vacation, like the younger version of the
Yeah.
from season two, because they were like all in Palermo already. But like I feel like the like I just think of the Fire Island crew as like this next group.
Oh, that would be so good. I do like that we got, I think, essentially confirmation in this latest episode because we just watched episode three,
Three.
which I feel like I almost want to text you be like, I feel like we're like 1 week early before everything actually happens on this show. Because right now
Yeah.
it's been, if we're,
It's a
because
slow
White Lotus
burn.
is usually like 9 to 10 episodes, right? So if
No,
that's
it's
like,
the first season was six, second episode season was seven. This is eight.
wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess though, then by eight, if we're
It's like
viewing
the
it like how
halfway
a
point
book
for each
is,
one. Yeah.
yeah, we're at the 30 or whatever. We're almost to that point where in the book's going to get interesting.
Yeah.
And so we're at the final pieces of like, I felt this episode in particular had the most heavy amount of setup because we did get like Belinda confronting Greg slash Gary, but we also learned that this timeline wise is
After.
after
I
because that
definitely
was the whole theory about like, oh, it's
people thought it was a
concurrent.
prequel.
Yeah, or like I had
Oh,
heard that people thought it
concurring
was like the
as while
exact
she's
same
in
time.
Italy.
Yeah.
Okay, but this I feel like this has to be a few years after at this point. If he has a new girl, and like because
Yeah.
my thing, like one of my coworkers, Ushme, he was like this is a prequel before the season started, and I was like open to that with the first episode when we saw Greg, but then I was like, how is he there? How is he rich? Because he was like, but then also he was at the White Lotus when he was before he met Tanya,
Right.
but so it's like he probably had money in the first place, so it's just I don't know. I need this man to go to jail by the end. It's like how I feel about the last season of You. I need you to go to jail, but he probably won't. I
I'm
feel like
very
it's
intrigued like what yeah, like I think we view
what's
certain
the end
characters
goal
as
of this
like
show? Like that's what
right.
I
I
want to
think that's
know.
the big question of this is like, yeah,
Because
that the fact that he's showed up in 3 seasons now, you're like,
this is his
what
show, I
is this
guess.
turning? Yeah, is there something low key that we don't real like how it was like we were viewing this as like the Jennifer Coolidge show before, right? And
Yeah.
then she dies, RIP, spoiler. Now
Is she
we're
coming
at this
back this
point.
season, do you think, as a ghost?
God, I hope not.
Me
I don't
neither.
want to see that. But
Me
we already
neither.
got a dream sequence, which I don't recall if we've had those before or not.
I'm trying to think. I rewatched it recently. Let me think about this. You finish your
Yeah.
point though.
But yeah, I've been pondering like, is maybe this story all along, has it always been about Greg? I don't know. Is it a coincidence? I'm very curious.
I don't believe we've had an outright dream sequence, but we did have like some weird, like Will Sharp in the second season when there was that whole thing when not April, Aubrey Plaza and Theo James went up to the room, to get the book, and then the door was locked, and he went up there, and he thought that they might have
Oh
been
yeah, he
doing
kind of like
something. He
hallucinated. Yeah,
has
yeah.
a hallucination of them having sex on the table.
Yes.
And then he goes off with Megan Fahey. Did you know that Megan Fahey and Leo Woodall are dating?
I just saw in the back of my mind, I did know it, and then I forgot. I saw one of those TikToks like real life couples who had met on the White Lotus. Because also, did you know that Adam DeMarco from season 2 dated Sydney Sweeney? But then
Recently or
they
like
like
years ago?
they broke up like last year while the show was airing or something.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that because I'm always like, did you watch The Magicians?
I did not know. Was
He was on The Magicians,
he was in a
which
Disney
is
Channel original movie. I do know
yeah,
that.
he was like on The Magicians as like kind of this like kind of like running joke punch bag kind of character Todd. So all last season White Lotus, we're texting every week. What's Todd do? Todd.
Uh-huh.
So the idea that Todd got Sydney Sweeney is
Yeah.
hilarious to me.
Um, while we're out here, Beatrice Grano, who played Mia in the second season, if she's single and interested in a chubby Brazilian boy who has a personality, uh, please get her info.
I miss those two
I
those two
miss those
gals.
two. Yeah.
There's an
How do you
energy I'm
feel?
missing for the staff. Well, they weren't
Yeah.
really hotel staff technically.
Yeah, I feel like I want to like Guy Talk more than I like him. I feel like
I
he
like
he's
him, but there's
endearing, but
something
he's not like I'm not interested in his storyline.
I'm so I know that there is the theory about the monkeys having the guns and shooting everything,
I've heard that one.
which we all hear. There's something about me that's wondering, are we getting that like
He's like an
too
incel.
good to be nice guy? Yeah, like, oh, he's such a nice guy, he's such a nice guy, and then like
That's
snaps. I don't
my
know.
yeah, because like
Yeah. What's his
he's like
point?
yeah, what's the point? Like and then the girl Mook, is that her name?
Yeah, Mook.
I mean
Lisa.
she's from K-pop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She like I feel like I don't really know enough about the staff this season. I feel like the staff was more granted, I
I
feel
was
like maybe
thinking the same
Valentina
thing.
was more of a slow burn compared to Armand, but Armand and Lucas Gage and Merlino were like a lot more present in Hawaii, and Belinda, of course. And then season two, like Valentina was in every episode, Rocco and Isabella. And like Valentina, we got more of her storyline at the end of the season, but like we even had Giuseppe the Piano Man. What a creep. I rewatched both seasons, and the show is just so like addicting. It's like travel porn. It's
I
like
do think season 2 is better because I've had some friends who we've
then
chatted
this one
about
or
it,
the
and they're
first
not.
season.
So I think season 2 is the best season,
Uh,
period. And we're only halfway through this, so who knows?
yeah,
But I did say I think that season 1 actually is like largely kind of boring at times and has moments, but it's like 2 just there was a lightning in the bottle. It was an energy. I think it was the colorfulness. I think there was like a lot to it that was
it
like
was
so
also
bright and vibrant and
COVID
lively and
times.
fun and sexy. And this is a beautiful location with people like just kind of like the first one that we're kind of waiting for something to happen, like for a bit
Yeah.
longer than we
Yeah,
thought.
this is my first time watching week to week because the first season I watched like I think I binged the first 5 episodes before the finale. And then second season I watched in one sitting after it aired. I was able to like dodge things, but like I just didn't have the faith that with my job working at um a movie and TV hotspot where all the coworkers are always talking about movie and TV, like I didn't
Yeah,
think I
they
was gonna
needed
be able
to.
to like avoid spoilers the way I was last time because like I was like kind of just
And yet you
dodging
probably
bullets.
could, because not much happened. It's like reading.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that White Lotus is more so
I think
like
it's better
reading
on
a
a
book.
yeah, I think
It is,
I
it's just you're gonna, and not like a page turner book. I think you're reading a character story, kind of like a
yeah,
Bret
it's a
Easton
character
Ellis novel
piece.
where it's just kind of there. Yeah. And I
Which I
think that it's
love.
hard
It's
because
just kind of why I'm
last season was
sad.
exciting though. That's
Yeah.
why I think it was riveting.
It's partially a little bit why I'm sad. Like, I do want to know what happens with like Greg and Belinda, but like, I am kind of also sad. Like, is this really just like, because I feel like this could be like an evergreen show that we just like go to a different resort, there's a murder mystery at a hotel. Like, it doesn't have to be interconnected every
Yeah,
single
exactly.
time. And I understand that he wanted to bring Jennifer Gould. Like, I'm gonna trust Mike White's vision because I think he's an incredible storyteller.
Yes.
But like, I do kind of feel like there's like now a timeline with this show. Like, you can't keep going forever. Whereas like
Yeah,
previously I was like, oh, you can make one of these every season. It's just a character study about rich people on vacation that are obnoxious.
exactly. It was a little bit of a Knives Out, but I also think
Yeah.
like we're kind but my thought too is, okay, now that we know that these are happening in three separate times and not concurrently, there's a death at a White Lotus resort. Oh, okay. There's another major death at a White Lotus resort. We'd be making headlines, right? But then
Yeah.
someone said people die at hotels all the time and you
Well, we're
don't
gonna
know.
see the
So I don't
headlines, I
know.
think, right? I feel like we're gonna see
This
like
one
the
I feel
world.
like would be depending on
Well,
whatever
because
it
we're gonna
is.
see
But
Tanya. Did you watch the previews? Sorry, I don't want to talk if you don't watch the previews.
I think I did, but I didn't retain it. The
Okay.
first time I didn't because it cut off.
Do you want me to keep talking or
Yeah,
move
no, you
on?
can
Okay.
totally. Yeah,
Well, Belinda's looking online and finds out that Tanya
fines.
dies. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more so on that idea of vacationing where you go,
Mhm.
maybe we shouldn't go to this resort where we
Yeah.
might die.
Yeah.
Listen, I didn't go to like us. I've not gone to a Six Flags in God knows how many years, just because one time someone got decapitated in like 2006. Like,
Yeah.
I'm traumatized, and maybe I'm an
But
outlier.
then it's
Many
also
people still go.
commentary because like maybe it's like you're not like a snobby rich elite who's like so up in your own
Yeah,
ass
true.
that you
You wouldn't
don't
even
know what's
know.
happening in the world. You're just like,
They'd
oh,
never go to Six Flags.
no, they are going to like Busch Gardens.
Honestly, nobody. No, you think they go to Busch Garden? They're going to like
I'm thinking
that
about
one
Lachlan.
that
Lachlan goes
indoor
on the school
that
trip.
they're going to like the one in like Dubai, like that
Oh,
they'll do like Amazing Race challenges on.
oh no,
They're not going to
they're going
Six
on
Flags Busch
a
Gardens.
cruise, like a yacht trip
Yeah, they're
instead.
going
Yeah.
on a Royal Caribbean cruise. They're getting in
Or
a
they go to
really nice
the Grand
room.
Floridian
Yeah,
hotel and they just
they're staying at a Disney resort, definitely Grand Floridian, or maybe at the Polynesian resort in one of those like fancy bungalows,
Mhm.
somewhere
Um
elite.
I've had this from Jump. Like, I mean, the characters I'm most interested in are like the kids, the trio. Like, I think I want to know what the hell is happening there. I think Lachlan, like, maybe it's just me projecting as a bisexual boy onto another bisexual boy and Mike White. But I feel like Lachlan's story is a confused bisexual boy. The first episode, his
Yeah.
whole like storyline was like picking between the binary. Like his mom wants him to go to Chapel Hill, his dad wants him to go to Duke. He's like trying to figure out who he wants to spend more time with, his brother, his sister, and then he's like checking out his brother's cheeks, which is super weird. But
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be an incest
I
story,
don't
but I did
I
think
think a
that
lot
was
of
a
people
choice.
I do think there's like something about like he's discovering something about himself, and maybe it's not even going to be super pronounced, but I think like I'm claiming him as a bisexual character in this era. Like, I mean, in this era that we have Nick Nelson, I'm very happy that we have bi men on television, but I
Yeah.
feel like we're about to hit a boom of like, because it's been very common tropes. Like, I grew up, there was like a lot more bi women on TV, but like, I am definitely excited about these like younger versions of me like having representation on
Yeah, someone
TV.
who's gonna like fit in more, so that's not who you're looking up to, but it's
Yeah.
your peer group.
Yeah, and so I like that aspect of it. I think my favorite character, though, obviously I'm biased towards him, but I think I like him and I like his sister a lot. His sister's like a
I think
badass. I
we
like
finally
her.
know what her story. She's like the most like revealed story at this point after this episode,
Like I think yeah, I think she's gonna be
right?
comfortable. Like if her family loses all the money, like she's like whatever. Like I'm
Well, I
living my
see
life.
I think that what they were implying this episode is so
That
she
she,
lured the family to like, oh, I'm doing a research project.
but she's
But in
trying to
fact, like
join.
she's gonna leave. So I
Yeah,
think kind of like season one when the kid wants to like
yeah.
stay
I want to know what the
behind.
fuck happened to him. Like
He's just hanging on to a surfboard. Did he stay? He stayed behind, right?
no, he
Did he?
ran from the airport and ran back to the boat.
Yeah.
But then I'm
So
like, Connie Britton would have called like CPS and be like, "My son's stuck in Hawaii. Can you get him over?" Like, she's not letting him leave.
yeah,
Like,
if we're gonna bring someone back, bring back Steve Zahn.
yes, no. I
No,
love.
kidding. I
So
don't
I
want
know
anybody to come back. I'm
you want this to be
we
more
did. I
anthology.
like how you said. I really like the idea of it being an anthology. And if it was going
Yeah.
to be like then there's like one person who travels the world. But I also was fine with Tanya dying because I also think like the shtick would have
I think so too.
like
Yeah.
would have worn thin here.
I think the whole theme of our podcast today is like murder mysteries.
I
Like,
love, I'm reading a murder mystery right
I
now, and I
love
have
it.
another one lined
Yeah.
up. I love murder mysteries and like fun ones.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be watching, the serial killer,
No.
dark, gritty thing.
You don't want true crime. You want camp.
I want camp. I want at the end of it that you're going to gather everyone for a large meal and reveal who done it in a
Have
large
you seen
speech.
the Saoirse Ronan movie, See How They Run? It's like a
No.
tight 90 minute. I think you might like that one.
Yes, I mean you had me at tight 90 minutes for anything.
Yeah.
Because as we
Oh,
know, I believe every movie should be 90 minutes or
I
less.
agree. I saw Mickey 17 last night. I was like, this could be 90 minutes.
Oh,
Um,
how long? One,
it's
should I
two
go?
hours
How was it?
17.
Not terrible.
It's not there was like I wasn't like there were only one time I zoned out or two times. Two times I zoned out. But like it
AMC said I'll get extra points if I go see it. So I
get
was
extra
because I'm
points.
not a Stubbs member,
I
so I
mean,
was
you
like,
can always
oh.
see it, and instead of seeing it, you see something else and just like have the ticket
Yeah,
for
but I do
the
kind of want to see it,
Okay, yeah, then
There isn't really anything else
it's
out right now, is
I
there?
was
It's a
advert
time for TV. It's not movie season.
yeah, I mean, I think they're still showing Honora again. Like
Yeah, well, I have to go to I'd have to go to like Alamo Draft House to see it.
uh,
It's not at like my local AMC or
uh
my Patriot cinemas nearby. That's where I went to go see The Brutalist, and
yes.
I never felt so youthful them going to see The Brutalist. I was, but the youngest, not that young.
Did you like The Brutalist?
Okay.
I should go
So
read your letterbox.
in the moment, I was like, this, when I was done, I was like, this is great. Paused, reflected on it. I think the first act is fantastic and great. I think the second part is like, I just kind of didn't care. And I think it made choices that I just didn't
Do you
want,
think it should
didn't
have just been the
need.
first act only? The whole movie should have just been the first act.
Um, no, I just think that you could have cut off like the last 45 and taken some things out that I just didn't like and I didn't think it was necessary
The whole trip
for
to
the
Italy?
story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot. And
Oh,
I didn't love Felicity Jones. However, I did like the unintentional comedy of like this man spends the whole first act pining for his wife. Then she finally shows up and he's like, "You're cramping my style." Like that's how I feel about like being single and that like if I
yeah.
date someone, I'm like, you're gonna screw up my flow. So
Yeah.
I did think that was kind of amusing. Um, I do think though, any long movie should have an intermission. I feel like that maybe just the intermission is the whole reason I am liking this more because I was like,
Yeah.
this is
Oh,
so
I love an intermission.
refreshing.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, this is amazing. Because I definitely was like,
That said, I did spend
I
like
could
5 hours at the theater that day, but
Yeah, I was like, oh, I could get a soda. You could. This one has like cocktails. I could go get a drink if I felt like it. Because I knew I would be able to go to the bathroom halfway through.
yeah.
I
No,
didn't
I went
though.
with
I
my friend
decided to,
Joe.
yeah,
My friend Joe, he was like, I know supposedly when they start doing something, that's when the intermission's about to happen. And he was like holding it in.
he
I
was
was
like
like,
dying.
yeah, he was dying until that intermission. And then he was that Blair Waldorf mean go piss girl.
Yeah, like
Um,
just if only like I think of the number one time that I was like dying in a theater like, that I had to go to the bathroom more than anything in the world, and that was during The Dark Knight. And if only it had
yeah.
intermission at that instead. So I
See,
think more movies should have intermissions.
the
That's what I've learned
two
from The Brutalist, and it was very well directed. I thought it was artistic looking. But it wasn't like my
hated
favorite part
Adrian
of the year.
Brody's speech though. Hated it.
Oh,
Except
that
for the
was a
last
terrible speech, and it's really rude to take up the time because other people were affected.
No, did you?
And it
Because I saw the three guys from
everything.
Dune, the three sound guys, and then the bald man. He didn't even get to speak, and then he
Yeah,
looked so sad. And then he went and like, if he was a woman, he would have been treated so differently. Like I remember Jennifer Coolidge was like upset she got walked off the Emmys,
yeah,
and like I don't know, it's just so disrespectful. And like at the end, he was trying to say something that felt like it mattered.
but it
Like
didn't,
2%.
right?
Like he said like at the end he was like an anti-Semitism's on the rise or whatever he said about that. And I was
Yeah,
like, okay, that's the only part of the speech that I cared
yeah.
about.
That's it. Seemed like that thing is if you're going to interrupt to extend, you better have something that's going to
Yeah.
change the world and not like continuing to thank your kids and your wife. Like if
Who
you're,
yeah.
yeah, I
Uh,
forgot about that. Stuff.
yeah.
And of course, as we know, for me, I had some real high stakes of who I was rooting for, and I just want to say justice for Conclave.
I my Conclave story
I
is
haven't seen
embarrassing.
Honora. I haven't seen Honora though, so that's
I
I
think you
can't
would
say
like
that.
Honora. I think you would
I
like
think
Honora.
I'll enjoy it. I want to see it, but
Yeah.
I just am such a Conclave girly. I just I love
I
it.
I felt like an asshole. I got to the theater and I went to watch it, and Nicole Kidman stepped in the puddle for the AMC ad, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm a sleepy boy, and I fell asleep. And then I woke up and I saw the last 30 minutes of Conclave, and I liked what I watched.
Stop. Ugh, it's so who who would have thought it could be so riveting? We're so off course here from White Lotus.
This is a
But
reality TV, Chad. This is reality
yeah, it's
TV
everything.
adjacent.
Sorry, everybody. You're just
Yeah,
a,
this
it's
is a
just
Mel got served catch up hour.
this is
Yeah.
like, have you ever listened to the Never Not Funny podcast where they
No.
just shoot the shit? It's just Jimmy Pardo is a great comedian and they have guests
Yeah.
and him and his group and they
Nicole
just
Byer for the
talk.
Traitors, by the way. Also.
Oh my God. I think a comedian for Traitors, someone, or even like now that you get Gabby, if you get like Robbie Hoffman or
I
any
did
like
think it was a spoiler when I saw that they got married. I was like, mm.
I
And
did think a little, I wondered.
Robbie
And
Hoffman was
then
also on Why Won't You Date Me last week.
yes.
So I was like,
They're on the big
that's right
press
there.
tour.
Yeah.
And congratulations to them. Very happy for
Yes.
them.
I had seen Robbie Hoffman perform before I even knew anything about Gabby. Like years ago, like I think 2 or 3 years ago, I saw Robbie Hoffman on a lineup.
I think
At
getting
the
some comedians could be a great mix
Yeah.
of like the taking it seriously or not. And I think you can get into like the audience or the, you know,
Yeah, they have
social space of it
followers.
all. Yeah.
Like, so quickly on the Oscars though, like, yeah, Adrian Brody, what a dickhead for doing that. Meanwhile, bro, you were the front runner the whole time. Did you not have time to sit down and write a speech?
But again, justice for Ray Fiennes.
Yeah, I also thought I would have loved to see Coleman Domingo win because he looks so good in that outfit.
That he always
He needs to be
on a
sexiest
scale of
man
10, he's a
alive.
15 out of 10. Yeah.
He needs to be sexiest man alive. Him or Dylan Efron. Like,
Um, but Oscars were fine. I will watch some things. I
Brazil
thought it was
won its
like
first
fun to
Oscar.
see. I've heard that movie is great. I have to see
It's
that.
really,
They just that
honestly, I think she should have won the Oscar. I knew she wasn't going to win. I thought Demi was going to win the whole time. But
yeah,
I
that
think
was
Fernanda
the big upset.
Torres, even like people who have seen all the movies, they said Fernanda Torres was like the best actress. But like the Oscars don't respect international movies as much as American
Yeah.
movies. And like I think Mikey Madison was phenomenal. I did want Fernanda Torres to win, but I would have been okay with. I'm okay with Mikey winning, of course, too, as long as it wasn't Carla Sofia Gascon. But
I have no interest in seeing it.
Amelia Perez or I'm still
Yeah,
here.
Amelia Perez.
Oh yeah,
No, I
no,
love
skip it.
the substance. I will say one thing, and not the Demi part, because Demi was phenomenal. But the idea of the substance at the Oscars really is like the example of it's an honor to be nominated because that is not an Oscars
Yeah, but I
typical
still thought she was
Oscars
gonna
movie.
win. She was still
I
the front
really did.
runner.
I was that to me, I gasped. That was like
Yeah,
the
that
one
was the
true
shock for
shock of the
that was the
night.
upset of the
Yeah.
night, I think.
Like now that I'd seen The Brutalist, and I was like, you know what, Adrian Brody is great in it. Like I
The
can't
AI
deny he
thing
is
was a
great.
little like wonky, but I
What?
don't
So
know.
wait, what's
I
the
think they
AI
used
of it?
AI for the Hungarian accents and like to layer the audio tracks. So like at the end of the day, like
Oh,
which I do think was part of it, like for both him and Felicity Jones.
oh.
Um, but
So maybe that helped. Well, for
it's
him,
like a controversy that didn't impact it as much as like the Carla Sofia stuff
well, I should
impacted.
say for him, that negatively impacts my thought of his performance just because you're like, oh, you didn't even do that. But for her, I use it as an excuse for why her performance sucked.
Felicity. Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought
She's
she
a good
wasn't good.
actress. She was good in like some of the
Other
last
things,
stuff.
this just
Yeah.
what it didn't, this was not
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I do like Sean Baker. I'm glad he won for director, even though I do think Brady did a good job, especially like with the old school style of filming that they use. But I saw Nora twice in theaters. That's how much I enjoyed it. So the first time I definitely was like, I need to rethink pieces about it. I definitely want to hear your thoughts when you watch it. And I'm just so proud of Brazil for winning its Oscar, especially of like a story that's like so real and very timely, honestly.
Yeah, I
Like
just wish they were all streaming easier, but I can
yeah,
understand that it's like, oh, let's get
yeah.
our monies out of it.
Yeah, when
And
you
even
do
in
watch
theaters
it,
because
I
you have to go to
do.
like certain,
Yeah,
like it's harder to see it in theaters.
I saw that in Brazil with my parents, and then just like watching them, like because like I've sometimes forget that they grew up in the military dictatorship of Brazil.
Yeah,
So like just like it's based on a true story, which I know a lot of people like looked up after, but I definitely want to hear your thoughts on it when you do watch I'm Still Here.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
I think Fernanda Torres is like so like I felt like her acting was effortless for a role that was very challenging, if that
Yeah,
makes sense. Like you like she transformed into the character, which is like even with Mikey Madison, I felt at times it's like, oh, this is someone playing a sex worker named Denora.
yeah,
Like but this is our Oscars minute.
yep. This is our Oscars brief.
How do you feel about Parker Posey's accent? I know that's getting a lot of commentary.
Uh, I don't know how to feel.
Timothy, my lorazepam.
Maybe if she did, maybe if they said that she had an AI
Is she
overlay on her
trying? Is
accent,
she
it would
trying
help.
to like be the next Jennifer Coolidge? Is that what she's going for? Like with like a
Maybe I'm not
recognizable
sure.
voice?
It's so it's Parker Posey, so you still enjoy it and it's funny, but it is an interesting choice. And I would say also getting Jason I not that like everyone can't play like whatever accents, but it is like, oh, you picked a
The
British
British guy.
man
Yeah.
to play a Southern accent when like I'm sure whatever. But I mean his
Yeah.
I will give this credit. His Southern accent is better than Daniel Craig's Benoit Blanc accent.
Benoit Blanc. Yeah.
Benoit Blanc, who chose to do Kevin Spacey, and it was like a choice.
Yeah.
Um,
What is the online chatter about like Parker Posey? Because I was surprised there was no like blowback of the Blake Lively stuff coming at her with all this.
oh, I don't know. I haven't been deep. I haven't seen a lot of chatter about it in my feed, and I'm not getting a ton of White Lotus
I'm glad
served
I'm
up to
not.
me
Like
other
when
than
I
couples.
do dabble
No, I want to
online,
just
I'm
kind of enjoy it
yeah.
sometimes. Like I don't need the discourse. I don't need to discuss it as much. Like I can reach out to my friends who are
Yeah.
watching it and not
I'm not
like,
listening to the podcasts. I just kind of want to vibe with
no, I
it.
considered it maybe for a minute just for prepping for this, and I was like, eh,
If I do go back, I will go back when the whole season ends, and maybe I'll
yes.
listen to the Carl Boudreaux interview.
Yeah, like I'd be curious. Like I think it's interesting, but I don't think I need or currently want like my hand held the whole way
Yeah.
through. And then
It's also
because
a
like you
vibe
just
show. It's not a plot show. Like there is a
exactly.
plot, but
It's
it's
a
more
book.
of the
It's a
vibes.
like we said, it's a book. It's you're
Yeah.
enjoying the book as you go and you want to find out what's the rest of the story, but maybe it's not a page
Yeah.
turner. It's just gonna take you a little like the library books 2 weeks hold, you might take the full 2 weeks to
Yeah.
watch it and or read it and not finish it in 48 hours.
Is this your introduction to Amy Lou Wood, who's the British girlfriend?
Yes,
She's
I haven't.
phenomenal.
Now, then, if anything, it's more like my feed shows up with like stuff from her that I
Sex
don't even know what
Education.
it
Yep.
is.
She's from
Is
Sex
that what she's
Education.
from?
The first two seasons of Sex Education, especially her in the second season, is pretty good. Yeah, that's where I first met her. And Sex Education kind of like falls off by the end, but I think the first two seasons of that show are very good.
I didn't
Um,
watch it because I always thought like, am I too old to watch this? Am I
no.
like a creepy old adult if I
No,
watch
and
it?
they're all played by like adults, and it's like very like some the second episode is one of the funniest episodes of the show I've ever seen. And it has
Hmm.
two people from Barbie, what's her name? Emma Mackey and Nishiti Gatwa. Everyone was like, "Oh, she looks like Margot Robbie's sister," and then they both were in Barbie
Oh yeah,
together.
she was in the
Yeah,
Barbie movie. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah, and they were
uh,
kind of like the Barbie pair in the movie too
yeah,
together.
yeah. They were
The
a
Barbie and
couple.
Ken
Yeah,
pair.
yeah. And then Asa Butterfield is a doll. Like I love it. What's her name? The woman who plays Molly and Skulder. What's her name?
Oh, Gillian Anderson.
Yes, she's great. She's the sex therapist mom. It's like at least watch the first episode or
Yeah.
two. But I know there's so much. So, you would be
There's
proud
so
of me.
much good stuff on right
I
now.
started. You know what I started this week? You would be proud of me as CW girly. Nobody wants this with
Oh,
Adam Brody and Kristen Bell.
I still haven't watched that.
Okay, it's enjoyable. It's
I
a
know I've
nice.
heard it's great. No, I've heard
Yeah,
it's great.
but
I think it's
you're
one of those.
you're an OC girly, right? You love the OC, or
So it's
you're just a
funny
gossip
because
girly.
no. So my famous OC story was I was season one obsessed. Like like I my dorm decorate got my OC printable posters, all this shit. Season two starts. I get my friends hooked on it. I make it at some point let's say halfway, and then I just drop off and I never watch it. I kept up with it like from the culture. So like I enjoyed the OC, but I like maybe I went all in too hard as an obsession and then fell right off. But I think season two is a little bit weaker. So I probably watched more of Gossip. I think I watched like 3 seasons of Gossip Girl before I dropped off, or maybe even part of 4. But I am of course watching the OC so I can keep up with the pod.
Yeah.
But I like Adam Brody, but in hindsight, I think actually Seth Cohen annoys me.
Oh, okay.
But
I've never
so it's
seen
one of
the
those shows.
OC.
You know what it is with the show? Is like everybody was talking about it to a level that
Mhm.
it was kind of like annoying that I didn't want to watch it because like everyone likes it so much that I felt like it's more that I know I might be a contrarian. It's why I haven't seen Ted Lasso.
Ah, I love Ted Lasso,
Right,
but
everybody does, but
I
there's
do feel
something.
contrarian. Like even especially my reality TV takes, I'm like everyone loves this thing. I'm like, let
I'm
me
just
like
afraid that I'm gonna
everyone
be like,
loves
I
Angela.
don't
I
get
hate
it.
Angela. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just like okay, I don't. It's not my thing. But I might watch it. I so my next on the list is I keep hearing good things about Paradise and the Pit.
I need to watch Paradise and The Pit. The Pit I heard is kind of sad. That's the only thing.
That's what I was going to ask that to other people who were saying it. But we're so deep like in reality season that it's hard to like
Yeah,
find
but Traitors
time.
is ending. Dondi's
Trader's ending
ending.
freed up. Yeah, Dondi's ending.
I have my whole spreadsheet of shows that I am
Listen,
keeping
but
track of.
Australian Survivor is a full-time job.
It is. But I'm weeks behind on Abbott Elementary.
Yeah, I have to
Uh
watch two habits, but that's like a good
I
that's a
have to
weekend
watch
show.
Suits LA. I didn't like the first episode of that.
I heard it
Um
wasn't great.
yeah,
I
it was
have
so
like I
disappointing.
have a couple episodes of Ghost to watch. I have a St. Dennis Medical.
I
I
need
have
to
like some of
start
the
that. Yeah.
comedies. St. Dennis is it's cute. It's no Superstore, but I have to remember that Superstore wasn't the strongest its first season either, and it picks
Yeah.
up like full steam. But it's getting better. I'm a Ghost girly. I love Ghost. So
Sorry, I'm texting my therapist. She's like,
this is
she's gonna
good.
be, yeah. No, like the original, like Ghost, like the like British show, right? That
So
is
I'm
the
watching the
American version.
CBS one, but I
Okay.
did watch the British one
For
too.
my head, when you said Ghost, I'm like, Ghost Whisperer. That's an old show.
Not Ghost Whisperer. Should we get into Ghost Whisperer?
A Ghost Whisperer rewatch podcast, now or never. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe
but
that's
yeah,
what we should submit to the Lonely Boys. But like, have you guys ever considered Ghost Whisperer?
yeah. What about Heart of Dixie? Like,
Oh, I've
oh,
tried that.
yeah.
I'm a hearted Dixie girly through and through.
Okay. What about a Walton Goggins girlie? I know you love him.
So I never watched Justified, but I'm like
Yeah.
other shows.
You saw the unicorn?
I watched all episodes of The Unicorn. I was gagging for Goggins
And you're gagging for Goggins on the
on
White Lotus.
Gemstones. White Lotus, Gemstone. White Lotus, I'm a little like what and it's coming.
You want to know what
What's
his
his
deal is.
deal?
Yeah.
Other than
I don't like how he talks to his girlfriend. Because even though
I
like
don't either. It's hard.
she's clearly like his sugar baby, but she's so respectful to him and like still clearly loves him.
Yeah, but he's being a dick. So I'm
He's such a
curious
dickhead.
what's his
Yeah.
deal? What's his problem?
And Greg,
Watching him release the snakes though while high was very funny. Though
yeah.
I was like, this is a crime.
And then she got bit.
A bit.
And then I love how they like kind of flash forward to like 2 hours later. I'm like,
Yeah,
she
it's
would
just
have been
like
in the
fine. They're at
hospital all
dinner.
night. She would not have been like,
No, it was a cobra, wasn't it? Like
yeah,
I don't know my snake
yeah.
bite kind of. Though I did have a weird thought, and this is also a mix between this and Dondi recently. Because did you see the Dondi challenge with the iguanas?
Was that this week? Or was oh what? No, that was
No,
last
two
week.
weeks
With
ago.
yeah, Philip had to go in
Okay.
there.
So, and I'm like a dinosaur girly. I'm not afraid of snakes. I'm not afraid of iguanas, but I was like, I think if I were to like touch one, I would get like the willies, like,
Valid.
ugh.
Yeah. Do
Like,
you
I
remember
don't know
when
if I
they
could
used to have
hold, like, if someone was
iguanas?
like, hold my pet iguana, I feel like I would freak out. But I
You
also
remember,
get freaked out by large animals too.
remember when they had lizards in the Big Brother house back in the early seasons? Like in Big Brother 3?
I don't think I remember them having. I remember when they would be like, "Oh, vote for a pet," and it was like a
Ophelia
pig
the
or
pig,
like a
yeah.
puppy. Yeah,
No, it was
I
Big
remember
Brother 3,
that.
they
I
had
don't
the
remember
lizards.
lizards.
And then they had the guinea
I
pigs in season 9.
I was thinking briefly, like, should I get a guinea pig as a pet? I don't
Yeah.
think so. Um,
Um, Wait,
but yeah,
so what do you think of the so Walton Goggins character? You said he's about to
yeah,
come, like we're gonna find out more. What about Shratala and Fabian? Is that the manager?
yes,
I need a rambunctious sex scene with the hotel manager like every season.
yes. I am
And
intrigued where this is going.
my thought
Does
is
Fabian not look like a little bit like a heavier set Jacob for Babbitt Elementary? Like his
yes, I see
face is
it.
like a
Yeah.
rounder faced
Well,
version. He's not that much, not
I
like heavy, but
wonder,
just like
like,
rounder
just
head.
because of like legalities in Thailand, is like Lachlan gonna hook up with him? Is that gonna be his bisexual awakening, the hotel manager?
I mean, I would hope not.
I hope
Like,
not too, but that's
that's
like
weird.
I'm like,
I'm
who is
intrigued
he
about him
gonna
because he's
who?
like obsessed with fame. Like, he wants to sing and be famous and
Oh,
perform. He's kind
theory.
of like
What if he like kills her?
he'd be down with it or something.
Like, what if he kills Shatala?
I do
Or
like Sertala. She's beautiful, and I like when she
yeah.
sings.
Oh, I
I'm
want to
just
see
very
her on a
intrigued.
reality show.
That's what I'm telling you. I feel like we are like right there, and then next week we're gonna be
Yeah, because
like it's coming. The storm is coming.
what was the
As they've
point?
said, the
Yeah,
tsunami. That's like really it is. Like they've
because
foreshadowed it. The storm's
it's
coming. Everything's happening. next week
It's
on.
interesting because I feel like season two, the third episode, even though not a ton happens, I think might be my one of my might be my favorite episode of The White Lotus. That's the Bull Elephants one where Megan Fahey and Aubrey Plaza go to Noto and they have
Yeah.
those like incredible conversations about like cheating and sex and they have the gummies. And I was just like, oh, some of that stuff was like my favorite in the series. I know that you have the different take of I think season one is my favorite. Because it's a lot, I think a lot more laugh out loud funny. Besides, actually, no, but the funniest moment in all three seasons for me is when she's like, "Who do I look like?" And she's like, "I don't know, Peppa Pig." And she's like, "No, I'm Monica Vitti." I like died, and I was sober
I
when
need
I
to
heard.
rewatch season one because maybe going back I
Yeah,
would, but I just remember
well,
it being a more of a slow burn and really like
yeah,
that character thing as opposed to two. Two was just like going. And
yeah. I
I
rewatched
also
both seasons.
can I throw it out there
Yeah,
though? I do think that the theme song is part of the issue
theme
because
song's growing on me. Theme song
it's
is growing on me.
it's
But
fine, but
yes,
it does. I think that it sets the tone and the vibe. I think the wallpaper is still exquisite, and I want to decorate my house with it. But the theme song, yes, I can hear it in my head, the new one, but it's not that banger.
yeah.
Got you excited, set you for the tone. Yeah, like it got you ready for like you were just like already like "Ugh," like yeah, like someone injected you with pixie sticks
But
or
the
something, and
first season
now
version is also a banger. Like I think the second season
right.
like went
I
hard
think this
also.
was just we were
We
not
had
prepared for
expectations
we had too high of an expectation and
because I was like, I can't wait for the Thai version of this banger. And
we were all waiting. I literally posted on like Blue Sky and I was like, we're 24 hours from the new White Lotus banger. And then we saw it and it was like, it's a little more
did it
easy-ish,
even have the
but it's
same notes, like
not
motifs?
exactly. And I think that's the thing that threw me off maybe is
Because
that
like I thought
it feels
it
less
might
of
be
a
more
through line.
subdued, but there's no like the like trills that are known. Like that's the thing. I can't hear
Yeah.
any of the recognizable tones because the first song and the second song are the same song. It's just like
Just a little
different.
change up. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think there's like a smidge of it, but I'm not gonna like sing notes on
and
this. Like I'm
listen,
not
like
a,
the it plays at work sometimes, and I'm like, oh, this is actually like kind of growing on me. It's just not the same. And I think I've
it's not
read
the same
this season
energy.
is more like subdued and sinister versus the other two are like more
Yeah.
bombastic and loud. And
True, because this is technically also this is the wellness resort, so it should
yeah,
be a little more zen. We're gonna fix our posture. I say as I'm like,
yeah,
like when you were watching, did you not feel like,
yeah. I
especially the idea
literally
of like
no, because I do
when they're
this
like you're
too.
sitting in a defensive position? I'm like, that is me at all times, and for
In
me, it's comfort. But I guess I'm defensive all
in
the
my
time.
defense, I grew up in with the generation where we were like sitting playing video games and Game Boys, and like
Yeah, like I'm
I'm
gonna have a hunchback one day. I got to work on it so that like I have like an open posture, but I'm very bad about it. Or like I was listening to a podcast where we were talking about like when you cover your face, and sometimes I know I cover my face too intentionally, but like if you want people to trust you, or they gotta
yeah,
like not do it, or I have to figure out like where to place it so I can both do it out of like my pure comfort.
unbelievable, Dylan. I can't believe you voted for me. Yeah, yeah,
Ugh, I wish I could play Traitors.
yeah,
I want to host a Traitors and I don't know how to do it. Not to go
yeah.
backwards. Though
I want to
I
host a
probably
claim
have
to
a better
fame.
shot doing a White Lotus night. Like I think I can host.
Yes. Oh, do
I
it
think a
when I'm
White
in
Lotus
Boston.
weekend would actually be we
Oh, I'm
could. I mean
also
that's
coming to
easy to
Boston in
do.
May for graduation season, so
Ooh, excellent.
so we get some good time. My brother's graduating college, so I'm going.
Congratulations in
Uh,
advance.
yes, you'll meet him soon. But yeah, no, I love The White Lotus. I cannot wait to keep watching. I feel like maybe this will be a season that like is better on a binge because like
Yeah,
my tradition is
exactly.
every new White Lotus season, I'll rewatch everything that's come out. So for season two, that's why because I got delayed in my rewatch, so then I waited until the whole season came out, finished season one, binge season two in one sitting, and then this season I did the week in advance. I binge watched one and two. Faster speeds because you know I got things to do.
We got
But
things.
I do love season one when Sydney Sweeney and Brittany O'Grady are like, "Dad, Grandpa could have been a power bottom." Like there are some like high LOLs in that first season. I think Alexandra Daddario put in a great performance that season as well. Natasha Rothwell was robbed of an Emmy. I'm sorry, like I love Jennifer
Yeah.
Coolidge. I think Natasha Rothwell is like,
I think we'll see what she gets this season. I'm
yeah,
hoping they're writing something for her, but right
yeah,
now I'm a little like it feels a little heavy-handed to just
hmm
it comes out of nowhere and like to explain of this whole story and oh, and he's here. It felt a little clunky, but I know it's
yeah,
leading to something. So I'm giving it like yeah, we've gotta get our
yeah,
exposition in these episodes so that we can, because
yeah.
that boat, there's no way anybody goes on a boat ride on this show and it goes very well.
hmm
Something's going wrong on that boat.
hmm Yeah, I'll call my shot. Lachlan's bisexual. That's the only thing I'll stand on. Any shots? Oh, I think also maybe not Amy Lou Wood, but Charlotte LeBon,
Yeah.
and Saxon. I think they hook up maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't have any
Or
good shots. I'll
do you
say the
think?
one that I'll say is like a very like low key, but whatever shot is because you would think the three friends, Leslie Bibb, Carrie Coon, and Jacqueline, Michelle Monaghan,
Yeah.
like that the idea would be like, oh, that by the end of this they won't be
No,
friends,
they just all
but they
gossip. They
will.
circular
It's just like
gossip.
what yeah, I'm loving that story. And I don't have like my friendships aren't really like that, but I do like the idea of it that like, yes, sometimes that when you are in a group, you could talk about the other, like I love that
I think
that
that's just
element of it.
commentary. I
Just
think
the
it's like
parent.
they're all, it's
If
gonna be
anything, it's
like
more like should I have an ego? Should I be more paranoid that people talk about me constantly? But I try to remember we all talk about like but
yeah.
I like that.
No, for real. And I feel like it's also like it maps interestingly with the like DeGrasso family from the second season. Like I feel like they all had their tension throughout, but then they leave and they like it kind of I feel like we're gonna have one of those moments. Not in
Yeah,
because the second season was about sex, but like the all three men look at that lady in the airport and they look at her from behind. And then I think
yeah.
we're gonna have a similar moment with the three of them. I think they're plot protected. I don't think any of them are gonna die.
No,
And I think they're gonna like we're gonna see them leaving and they're gonna be like happy and they're gonna be like, oh, we can't wait for the next trip or whatever. They're
yeah.
gonna have
Oh,
like a
girls trip.
mirror.
We
Yeah.
can't wait. I'll see you in Austin, but they
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
do. It's going to take a long time. Also, very excited to hear the voice of Kiwi Kwan last
I was like,
episode.
that's him, right? Yeah.
Screaming. I was like, wait,
Like,
I wish he could be on the show like as a full character, but I love that he was a part of it. I
yeah.
forgot how Laura Dern was in the other season because I
Yeah.
Googled to confirm that I wasn't, I was watching late at night. So I was like,
I was also a
am I
little
like,
I
am
was
I
a
like
little
falling
Walton
asleep here and
Goggins.
losing it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just want to protect Belinda, Lachlan, and Piper. Is that Sarah Catherine Hook?
Yeah.
The girl
I
I
think
want them
Piper's,
to
I think actually, I think we know shooting the shot that Piper will not be returning to the States.
yeah. Yeah, I agree with that, but I just want baby Lachlan protected.
Yes.
I hope it's not the body. I think maybe it's Shatala. I think it could be Shatala.
You'd have
That's
to
who I
pay
have to.
attention again to like look for clues, but I
But
also
yeah.
don't fully watch it for the murder,
I
which
that
is,
only cares.
you
I only
know,
care in the last episode, or yeah, because it's not going to be resolved anyways until the last
yeah, like
episode.
it's just gonna happen. It's not a
Yeah,
murder mystery. It's not like a who done it. It's just like a
like
what
a
done
how.
it,
Yeah, yeah,
how done it,
yeah.
not
Because
even a when done it.
yeah, um,
Especially because it's probably just gonna be like natural. No, well, it's not natural cause we heard it was monkeys. Who knows?
yeah.
Just don't kill any monkeys because I don't want any
No,
of the animals to die.
yeah. Except if a bird. No I'm kidding.
Yeah, I don't like birds.
All right, Mel. Where can the people keep up with you on social media?
You can follow me at Mel Got Served on pretty much all social platforms.
Love it. And cast her on the Traitors.
Yeah,
Traitors UK, the one
please put me
implant.
on trade. Yeah, put me on Traders UK.
Yeah. All right. And in terms of me, you can follow me at What the Fleep on social media, at the Brazilian Dragon at the Brazilian Dragon. If you're going to be in Los Angeles on Friday, March 14th, I'm having a show at the Yard at 9 p.m. Tickets on my Instagram. And yeah, more miscellaneous podcasting, substacking shenanigans here on the Brazilian Dragon. More White Lotus discussions for sure. I definitely want to have more of those. But until next time, everybody, obrigado for listening. Happy Carnival. Goodbye.